And we're back.
Audio issues are fun.
Jesus Christ. Love audio issues. Love an audio issue that just decides
to pop up last minute.
To literally happen for seemingly no reason.
It's a real whole ton of
like
fun.
Almost literally no reason, and I'm glad I'm aware of it now because now I can go into this one and change that to be that. So now it knows ahead of time before I hit the transition button, and boom. Hi,
hey, hello.
Welcome to anyone that's watching. We've been silent for a lot. We were silenced by Streamlabs OBS. My Sunday is going okay.
Mine was all right. I liked it. Good day, real chill.
Pretty busy at work for the first chunk of hours, and then it was basically fine.
Hey,
but yeah.
Yes, music talk. It is that time.
Where's my water? Also, everyone, you get to look at our apartment. Actually, welcome to the Life City abode. How many Weird Al albums? On mine, 0.
I don't want to spoil anything. But there isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, you spoiled it.
No, I know that's a joke.
This looks like a place I built in House Flipper.
You know?
Hold on a second. Look at this shit.
That's the bedroom. Why is it like that?
Like, this apartment is mostly fine, except that part. No fucking clue why that is the way that it is.
Built by a sociopath.
What?
I said, Germa built that as a joke. No walls or doors in my house. So yeah, that's
no full walls allowed.
No. Only partial.
Where's the rest of the wall? We don't know.
We don't know why that portion of it is gone or where it lives now, but it doesn't live there. We do know that.
Yeah.
Perhaps part of it was used to build the portion of it that's still connected. We don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, but that's just how that room is built.
But hey, backsplashes and marble top counters, not marble countertops. Words.
They forgot to select the lintels tool after building the wall. Right. I've done that.
It happens.
It does. It does happen. Hi.
We're going to talk about music.
We're going to talk about music for who knows how long this is going to take.
Probably not very long.
You're not thinking very long?
I mean, it's not going to be a full stream. I'll say that. Like, I don't have... My connection with music and my vernacular don't spread quite far enough to create like a vast number 86 on my list. I remember it was a foggy morn once my father took me to the record store wherein my mind was changed forever and how music could be implemented.
For sure.
It reminded me of a book, but what am I gonna say? I was like, man, this fucking lands. I love these drums. That bass sounds amazing. General fucking bad at talking about music YouTuber talk, and then I'm gonna move on to the next one. So yours will probably be a little bit more riveting.
I won't give myself that much credit, but thank you. Is it 100 albums each? Yes.
Oh yes.
It ain't split. We each constructed our own separate albums, which actually, I guess...
It's time for everyone to learn what I was talking about when I said you and I share very, very similar album tastes. And then I've got this massive bubble of shit that, you don't like. That is so far outside the realm of your listening habits.
Oh yeah, before we actually dig into it, here's the question. I posed it to you earlier, and I'm gonna pose it to you again now. Who do you think is gonna be more in sync with the chat in terms of musical taste?
See, I guessed you, but I could be wrong.
And the funny thing is, I guessed the inverse.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that you're going to be more in touch with the people than I am.
I don't know.
Anyways, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first. Actually, here's the thing. Do you want to switch off by number? Like, you do your 100, I do my 100? Or do you want to just kind of have your time with your list?
I feel like we should switch back and forth as we go up it.
Well, you go ahead first.
Okay. My number 100 is Digital Ash in a Digital Urn by Bright Eyes.
Righto.
So, I mean, I'm trying to think. That album is super interesting because for people who know the work of Bright Eyes. They are a primarily like folk acoustic band, and Digital Ash and a Digital Urn is like primarily like electronic and electric like instruments. So it's a lot. It's interesting hearing a songwriter like that try to approach a different set of tools. And there are some songs on that song that are like fucking phenomenal. Like the first couple of tracks on there are super good and just set such a mood. Some of the rest of the album doesn't quite match it, and then there's songs like I Believe in Symmetry, which end up like crescendoing into this beautiful thing that always hits me really hard whenever I get around to it.
Righto.
For sure. But that's kind of the majority of my thoughts, like just trying to keep it parsed down.
For sure.
That's my number 100.
Nice.
I don't like Bright Eyes very much, lol, but I'm very picky about lyrical. How many of Bree's albums will be known by anyone but her?
That is the question. I've got a few that I'm going to be surprised if anyone else has ever heard of it. There are just a couple that I'm...
Less than 25%, 25 to 49, 50 to 74, and more than 75. I'm not going to vote on it because I just... Like I said, we can't dwell too long on any one choice, but...
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Bright Eyes, there's like two albums of theirs that I really, really love, and the rest of their stuff is like, yeah, they're okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, of course, in my 100 place, I have 100 Gex's 1000 Gek. A lot of you are probably wondering, Bree, what the fuck, but hear me out. So, I found out about this artist when I believe it was Courtney.
Courtney was complaining to
about
us
it, and was playing Money Machine and showing us that video.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Can you believe this shit?" And I was just like, I actually really dig this.
The song kind of slapped,
It
though,
really fucking
is
slapped,
the thing.
though. That's the thing. So I was just like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. And then I looked into it. Many people have actually reviewed that album and talked about how, yeah, like Stupid Horse, like that's got some like MC Chris in it. That's got some like, there's just elements of this thing that just have...
We got someone in the chat.
Oh, sorry, no, Adam in his package is who I meant to compare that to. It has a little bit of that. I just hear like their cover of Ain't No Goddamn Son of a Bitch. But I have front to back this album several times. It sounds like, just the digital age of people screaming at the sheer just, the velocity of like hell that we're all going through. And honestly, at the same time, I feel that sort of ironic detachment in it. It's beautiful. It's so good. There's bits that are face melty, bits that are heart throbby. It's all just really great. And I mean, hey, half the project is a trans woman, so you have to stand it whether you love the album or not.
That's fair.
Just a real good time.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah.
Zurich says, I know that I have zero knowledge of albums. I mean, we were also talking about that. It's like a lot of, at least a lot of like the lower range of our albums are ones that like, there's like signposts in those albums that are like, oh god, this one song is so good.
Yeah.
Or these couple of songs are so fucking good. So like it's totally fine to not have like a strong knowledge of albums, I would argue.
Oh, of course.
Number 99 for me is Zero Coma. I can't remember the rest of the title because it's in Japanese, by Mass of the Fermenting Dregs, which is like a really good, like really energetic, like shoegazy Japanese rock band.
They're really good.
The self-title song on that album is one of the greatest songs of all time, in my opinion. Like one of those songs that's just so fucking well constructed that every single time it like comes on shuffle, I'm like, oh no, I have to listen to this song. And the rest of the album is like super solid too. Like there's a bunch of really good cuts on it. Rat. I can't remember the name of it because it's in Japanese. But there are some. You stop. But yeah, there's really good songs on it. It has a really strong energy to it, and it's also a good short listen. That's something that's gonna happen with some of the stuff later on in my list. Is like there's a lot of EPs on my list where it's like, no, this album is like 4 to 6 tracks and it's done. Yeah. That's all you fucking need.
I feel the same with some of mine.
Yeah, so that's my number 99.
Righto.
I'm also always fascinated by how much shoegaze impacted the Japanese music scene.
That is fascinating.
I mean, shoegaze is pretty good. So now we got your number 99.
Yes, Quirk Out by the band Stump. I don't really know how to define Stump's genre. They are, I mean, at times they are like what passed for punk at the time. At times they're an older band. At times they're just kind of like, I'm trying to think what the word for this is, but sort of I'm not sure. Just avant-garde is the word. A very avant-garde rock band, very bizarre, very poetic at times, and just have a very sporadic kind of noise-centric thing going on.
I forgot to toss on music.
Oh, right.
Which let me make sure that's at a decent volume. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't want that blaring us out. Whoa,
Yeah.
it's coming in a little heavy. Maybe turn it down just a little bit.
Like pinch.
Pinch. Yeah, it's good. That'll do. But basically, this band, very, wow, even split. Very noise. I'm just looking at the vote. Very noise-centric, very kind of intense, very driven by almost nonsensical words. There's a lot of phrases in one of the songs that has resonated with me quite a bit.
Is it how much is the fish?
Here's the thing. The question, how much, they question that though. How much is the fish? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? Does the fish have chips? Every morning I wake up and I ask myself this question. I need to know. And it's never answered. This sort of leaves like a looming feeling of just uncertainty with me. And that is a beautiful thing. There's a lot of discordant amounts of just like dissonant tones in it that are used rhythmically and continuously. But it's just musically and lyrically fascinating enough that I cannot stop listening to it. It's a short listen, it's good stuff, it's good just kind of like classic bizarre rock, and it's a good time.
All right. You were saying you're like not gonna have anything to talk about, and look at you go.
Well,
My number 98 is Slanted and Enchanted by Pavement.
Ooh.
I had you listen to that one like somewhat recently.
Yeah, I remember liking that one.
It's really fucking good. It is one of those very formative for like indie rock moving forward. Like without that album, we don't have like Modest Mouse or any other band that sounds like that. Like it's super interesting, but just very, very angular guitars, lots of like like you were kind of talking about with Stump, like very nonsensical, like lyrical ideas going on in it. And then there's also like these moments where like the emotion of the song, like the composition and like the vocals, things of that nature, like just kind of cut through the nonsense. Like, what is the name of the song? There's a song on that album that like is a bit more down tempo than the rest of it, and it just it hits me right in my heart. Like, and it's still like, it's not that emotionally heavy or anything, but like it strikes a chord somehow that really just resonates with me. So it's also just a super solid short listen. It's a lot of fun. Like, I don't have too much to talk about with it. Like, when it comes to the lower end of mine, it's a lot of stuff that's like, it's a solid album.
Yeah.
But that's my 98. Endless Empty says, my favorite Pavements are Crooked Rain or Terror Twilight. See, I haven't listened to Crooked Rain enough to have too much feelings about it. Okay.
All right, so 98 for me. This one's going to be Imitation Leather Jacket by H2SO4. This is the title track.
What the fuck this
the title
is.
track on it is just pure techno from its time. Very early 90s trance. Just real real good stuff to throw on in the background, and a wonderful little portion of like some of my listening habits, especially in like my earlier years of getting into electronic music. It begins as a
Wait, what? How do you mean it begins?
I believe he means the shit that no one's heard of. And I understand
gotcha.
that. I believe.
I mean,
this
that's
is
just me not knowing that. I don't.
Yeah, no,
I
sure.
can't speak.
But
for
it
everyone.
is a little bit obscure. It's this thing that I mean, to my knowledge, I don't know much of what they've done. I don't think they have like a vast amount of music, but this is one that really kind of stuck with me for a good long while. And again, its title track kind of led me to that album. And it's just real good electronica. Just real good. You throw this on and there's a 90s party going on. It's good stuff. You could just play this in a public space and suddenly there's a bunch of people doing 90s drugs and dancing.
Everyone has glow sticks for some reason now.
Yeah.
Is that all?
That's all I got for that.
Okay. Then on to my 97, which is
Hey, that's a good one.
Black Star. Most Effin' Talib Kweli are Black Star. Fucking great album by like two of like the strongest lyricists like in general hip hop. Like there are later chunks of that album that there are just certain songs like Respiration is like a big one for me that I remember listening to that. So something that kind of decides a lot of the emotional impact of mine is how for a long period of time, I was working pushing carts at Target, and I had a lot of go-to albums that I would just throw on, and this is what got me through the day.
Righto.
And this album is definitely one of those, and there are like a few tracks, like KOS Determination is another super good track on that album. All the like instrumentals are really solid. Like it's a very tight album, and I wish those two would hurry up and put out a new one. Apparently the second one that was supposedly done in 2019 was going to be produced by Mad Villain, which as we'll see later on in my list, I like Mad Villain a lot. So we'll see.
Who knows?
And then you have
Yes, my 97.
the most penis music album on your list. This is like the one time
I
I'm
don't know.
gonna.
We're almost kind of peeking into the other end of there, which they'll see later.
I mean, they can't see it on the feed,
for sure.
I can see it.
The Moon is Disgusting by that one guy. His second album, the first one that he really kind of boasts about and has about, and it's one of those things that I discovered completely by random. I'm trying to figure out how. I think someone sent me a video of him playing in Toronto or something.
Yeah.
This man, I believe that he made this. He has his own instrument. You know, he made this instrument that those pipes and those tubes and stuff. There's a string on there that he can like play with a bow to get like sort of orchestral instrument sounds out of, hooked up to a ton of effects pedals. He doesn't play it with a pick if he's like plucking it. He uses like playing cards. This man is demented in some of the most beautiful ways, and he makes really beautiful sounds come out of that. Or he writes a song about a butt machine. He's,
I will never forget the time that you revealed to me while we were like recording a Let's Play episode.
It was
and
Doom.
It was Doom Eternal. You brought up that one guy, and I was so fucking taken aback by it. I think that was the true moment where I discovered, like, oh god, my wife's musical taste is just fucking... There's just these weird pockets where it's like, I literally have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I don't think that's real. And then you went on to prove to me that it was in fact real.
It is. But it's not just that. In fact, that's the least of that album as far as I'm concerned. For me, it's more the,
Oh, that was the least of it, you're saying?
I didn't mean to do that, but there you go. I had a YouTube, it doesn't matter. The point is, had is the point. I'm not selling you on anything. But with this album, though, there's so many just kind of like weird, almost dark sort of framed, like almost childhood story like songs that are just kind of imaginative and weird and dreamlike. I love the sounds that he makes come out of this thing. I love that he is this one-man band with this gimmicky instrument that made that concept sound as good as it does. You don't expect this to sound as good as it does. Considering how that, when you think like, oh, this is a one-man band thing, oh, cool, it's gonna sound like some dickhead straight banging drums and going, no, it's not that. It's really, really good. Yeah, exactly. But considering that, and like that he developed this thing and made it his own thing, and it's really good. His work is amazing.
I mean, I have to appreciate the tenacity of the man.
And like that album, I think. Most of his albums don't throughout really jive with me entirely, but this is the one that most continuously throughout the album sounds good.
For sure.
So I really like it.
Sounds good. Makes you think of those weird organs with pull cords and shit on them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that one fucking I Think You Should Leave sketch where they have that guy playing at the funeral.
Shit, I gotta keep my composure now. Okay, go ahead.
Alright, my 96 is Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age, which as far as I'm concerned is like the quintessential road trip album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a few albums on my list that I have to listen to while I'm driving to a place as much as Songs for the Deaf. I remember, like, there's a period of time where I was working at Target and I would have to put on a Song for the Dead driving home, like, every fucking night because I was always closing, and I would just throw that song on, and it has such a strong goddamn drive to it that it feels right to drive to that album. Mm-hmm. Like, it's hard to describe. Like, there's little dips in the album as a whole that like aren't as strong, but like Song for the Dead, like the first couple of tracks, you may think I'm a millionaire, but whatever the rest of it is. It's like that one. Shit, can't remember the rest of them.
This is why it's 96.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's 96. Also, hi, all hail Magumbo.
Hey,
welcome to our stream talking about music and not playing any video games. But yeah, it's fucking super solid. If you want a good driving album, Songs for the Deaf is.
There's someone playing a trumpet.
Yeah, someone outside is playing a fucking trumpet right now.
That's been going on for hours. I hope he's
okay. Wait, really?
Yeah.
I just got home.
Welcome to the city,
work.
baby.
So,
anyway,
like,
go ahead.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on up to your 96.
Already? Oh no, it's Devo. With their album. Oh no, it's Devo. The reason that Freedom of Choice isn't here is because Whip It is on it, but also. This was, and I lied in a video that I've made before on YouTube about it because I forgot which one it was. This was indeed the first audio tape that I ever had.
Wait, you lied about that?
I forgot, but lying is funnier. And basically, I had this audio tape. That was the thing. I had music when I was really young because my parents wanted me to shut the hell up in the backseat of the car, so they'd give me headphones and tape deck and go, here, your uncle gave you this weird fucking music. Listen to this. And I fell in love with it. I think that Devo overall kind of shaped my general, listening habits, at least at the core of a lot of like electronic and more kind of bizarre bands. This is definitely the album where they especially get accused of being like annoying clown music. But, I think that's what I love about it. It's very bizarre, but very punchy, very catchy. It runs on a force beat sort of format where everything is just very danceable, very, it latches in your brain. There are so many choruses that are they've been going through my head since I was a child, listening on crappy little headphones to this rainbow button-colored children's tape player. That I remember so very vividly, being in the back of that green minivan listening to it. And it began.
It began there.
Yeah, a lot of me being a bizarre motherfucker started with Devo. And it only got worse from there. And that's
love that way of phrasing it. Yeah. The start of me being a bizarre motherfucker.
And I'm proud of it. But it was very formative for me in my listening.
For sure. So. My number 95 is Letting Go by Circa Survive.
Oh, yeah.
This is part of a chunk of albums that I kind of inherited from my older brother, the middle brother above me, and was very kind of formative. I got like a lot of post-hardcore stuff from him, and there are some songs, like, it as an album is super solid, but there are just some songs on it that have, like, stuck with me so strongly that it's hard to put into words. That's the thing, I am at my heart more of a singles person when it comes to a lot of music, but there's a general vibe to On Letting Go and like a soundscape to it that is very evocative for kind of being that in that realm of stuff that kind of gets lumped into like emo, post-hardcore, that like 2003 to like 2010 range that is much more effective than like a lot of bands that ended up kind of getting tossed away after that phase of like indie music kind of ran its course. And it shows that they have stuck around for as long as they have. Like, they still are producing albums today. And yeah, On Letting Go is a very good album. If you can approach that kind of music, check it out. It's a good one. So that's my 95. Your 95.
It's Hit Vibes by St. Pepsi. So this kind of popped up when the question was running around, like, you know, are all of these, like, trying to think what the word is, are all these, you know, future funk and everything else kind of compiled into being vaporwave? And a lot of people, you know, incorrectly assumed it was, but, you know, I guess they're different things, is the general consensus. This is very much kind of I almost want to say future funk, or just that kind of vibe of things. It's just very, you know, slowed and sped up, and, you know, mixed up samples of city pop and stuff, and it's very catchy. It's a real bop. It's just a good time. You throw this album on while you're driving, getting something done, or just living your life, and you're just gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing, though. There's a lot of bands that, like, really, really small indie bands, including like St. Pepsi, City and Clover, or not City and Clover, Clover and Sea Life. Like, those are like the two big ones that, like, super city pop influence to the point that you kind of just want to call it that.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, it's not really vaporwave, just because it's like kind of repurposing these old like musical ideas doesn't mean that it is its own new thing. It's kind of just doing that, actually.
Yeah. But Skylar Spence is a very, you know, talented producer, and I find myself very often revisiting that. I couldn't tell you what a single track on it is named, but I love hearing it, and I love throwing it on while driving. It's a good one.
I'm glad we're both having that issue for the early stuff on here. All right, my number 94 is The Moon in Antarctica by Modest Mouse. My first existential crisis of an album, I would say. Like, that, I oftentimes have trouble picking my favorite Modest Mouse album, just because the trio of This Is a Long Drive, Moon in Antarctica, and Good News for People Who Love Bad News are all so fucking strong. Like, they're all just great albums, but this is the one that I think in some ways has emotionally impacted me the most. Like, you have that, The Moon in Antarctica is like the turning point where you start to see Isaac Brooke as a songwriter change from, like, slowly changing from being like fully cynical to like slightly being an optimist. Like, you see it definitely like gets fully fleshed out in Good News for People Who Love Bad News, but the Moon in Antarctica feels like an album where he is like trying to come to grips with that in his life. And I think that, especially in the period of time where I really got into that album, is the big thing that has really stuck with me about it. Like there are songs like my Endless Empty points out Paper Thin Walls, which is a fucking great song.
Sure.
But like Stars Are Projectors is one of those like 8-minute songs that you listen to and you just kind of like, you hit the end of it like, oh god.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of just gut punch songs on that album. So that's my number 94.
Brilliant.
Is that one. And your 94.
It's Dedicated by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Great pick.
It is, right?
It's a good album.
Here's the thing. You listen quite a bit to like most of her work, and I like it. Whenever you throw it on, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like this. If I hear it playing, I'm like, yeah, all right, this is okay. I like this. I'm on board with this. Would never personally seek it out though. But then this album happened. This album, probably the most like, PC pop music thing that I heard and went, oh, I really like this. I really, really genuinely listen, from the front to back of this album going, oh, I'm vibing with it. This is really, really great. I think for me, because it was an artist that I didn't particularly already align with very much enjoying, it was one of those just kind of breakout things that went like, oh, this is hitting all the happy notes in my brain. This is finally doing something for me.
You touch on the PC pop thing, and I think that's an interesting point because this album came out like around the time that I think PC music as like a thing was finally starting to actually penetrate into the mainstream. Like you were starting to see like Charlie XCX like be like becoming more of an actual like pop star, not just someone who is like in a very niche small scene, but like blowing up a bit more. And you could definitely kind of tell that that's where the realm of pop is shifting towards when you listen to Dedicated. Like you hear Julian, which is like the first track on that album, pop off, and you're like, oh, this is like so fucking like city pop, like future bass type shit that like it is definitely tapping into that more independent scene that's kind of been bubbling up in the last decade or so.
And I think reaching that and the inspiration from that has been leading those artists to be more in that realm of stuff, and it tries and does new things, and it's just really, really, really great for that.
Yeah.
I like to see more music go that way that's more accessible to people, so that what we all need to hear in music whenever we have to leave the house gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
But this was a great album.
It's a very, very good album. My 93 is...
Ooh.
Oh, I kind of spoiled what my 92 is. But my number 93 is Smoochie by Ryuichi Sakamoto. And you want to talk about like fucking weird crossover like stuff between like more of like artistic music and like popular music. The last track on Smoochie is a fucking G-Funk song.
Wow.
A Day in the Park, like I've played it for you before.
You have.
It's that one instrumental song that's like stop, listen, no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like that Smoochie has such a strong fucking vibe to it, and was my first real introduction to Sakamoto as a solo. Yeah, I would say so. Like, at least as a solo artist, like I hadn't really listened to much of his work.
Interesting.
And it's got a hell of a mood to it. Like, it starts off with Bibi no Aozora, and that just it gets you in there, and it like gets under your skin, and you're like, damn, yeah, Sakamoto, lay down those fucking pads and like chords.
Those pads, though. Here's the thing: most of the albums I love, I could describe with those pads, though.
Yeah, sure.
Just like don't let me tell you. Put on these headphones, and then you're listening to those pads, though, and I'm looking at you like,
right.
You're like, yeah, no, I hear it, yeah.
But yeah,
Sure.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Great album. There's dips in there, but like the peaks in it are make up so strongly for any of those dips.
Right now.
And your 93 is...
Hey, it's Die Happy by Guitar Vader.
I have no idea what that is.
Now, aside from being generally good advice, also it's just a really wonderful kind of... I don't really know how to describe the genre, but you know what I mean when I say, like, you know, kind of lo-fi punk?
Sure.
They're a Japanese punk band that makes stuff that, like, traditionally isn't that, like, hyper overproduced stuff, so you get the feeling...
Owen. Owen's banned word album.
It's a wonderful CD, and... God damn it.
Record.
It's a wonderful record. Don't ban that. It's a wonderful record.
I mean, it's only for 5 minutes. Once we're past that, we can talk about it.
You know, and despite being a Japanese band, I think primarily they sing in English. The interesting thing. But this album in particular, really, I discovered this...
album. Well, we can't say... Okay, well, I guess we're using the word record instead for this stream.
So record. For the record.
Continue.
If I may. So, you know, Guitar Vader made Die Happy. This is a wonderful album, and I actually found out about it looking up...
the word.
I don't care. These are my laws and I'll break them. So basically, when you're playing like the Jet Set Radio franchise, you find out about these people pretty quickly.
Breeze top 100 Boss Babies. And also,
I want to talk about music.
And then Wafidi says, do you want to go to the padded walls then? To the room with the padded walls then, Bree?
I would.
Who has to lose the glasses? Is it me or is it Bree?
I'll go ahead. So anyway, this will help me focus. So in reality, you know, just like it's really brilliantly what I love in kind of like a low production, but just like heavier on like a little bit of synth and a lot of good guitar noise punk band. You got a female vocalist. You got like just the really. They make just really good, really happy, really punchy songs, and it's good, solid music. I really love it. It's happy, it's wonderful, and video games led me to it, so you know it's got to be good.
Which video game?
Oh, it's Jet Set Radio.
Of course
they have a song in it.
Wife
They have
City.
a couple songs in it, one of which was remixed by Hideki Naganuma.
Wife City's 200 discs to throw down on your Victrola. And Evie says, getting some real Boss Baby vibes from this album. Alright, well, we kind of got a peek at it, but my number 92 is Dookie by Green Day. Fucking classic album. Like, I really re-listened to that, like, in the last, like, week or so. Mm-hmm. It's still real good.
Right on.
I grew up with that album. Like, I was, like, a kid when that came out, and so many of those songs are just fucking just drilled into my brain in a unhealthy way, and it's just solid pop punk. Like, we would not have pop punk as it is today without Dookie by Green Day. Like, there's probably other formative things that people could point to, but this is the thing that, like, got everyone to notice it and be like, oh damn, yeah, that's gonna be a thing.
Whenever anyone talked about Green Day before all the memeable albums, it always came back to this being the, this, like, you know, they did this, like, this album.
It is super, super strong.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, that album came out in, like, what, 90, I think that was 92?
Oh, Magumbo says this is very nostalgic to me.
Like, I think Dookie was, like, somewhere in, like, 92 to 94. There's, like, a song on that album that's, like, about coming out of the closet.
Yo.
It's literally called Coming Out.
Wow.
And it's fucking good. It's a bit on the nose, but it's good.
I'll be honest, I only heard a portion of this album, and it was years ago, so I need to dive back in.
Evie says, this is the song that has a song about jerking off on it. It does.
There you go.
It does indeed have a song about that on it.
Awesome.
So yeah, Dookie, still a good album.
Good time.
Your 92 is
Moe
Moe by Moe Shop.
Indeed it is. So, this one's a real fun one. This one's got,
I got nothing to say about this one.
This has Senpai, this has Baby Pink. Or, it's one of those things that's just, you know, this falls under. I don't know. Like, is this like future funk? I don't even think it is.
Future bass.
Future bass, yeah.
Is more what I would classify Moy Shop as.
But it very much kind of led me into that artist and into these genres quite a bit. Into the just like, yeah, this falls under my radar, as I mentioned earlier, for just like, this is happy music. This is a good time. This is just like a real fucking bop. I don't have a massive ton of things to say about it. It's just one of those feel-good albums I throw on for the hell of it.
For sure. And then Wafidi says, feels weird to think Green Day is the last of the purest big-name alt-rock bands. The giants after them were Maroon 5 and Nickelback.
Oof.
Damn, really? That feels like super far apart for like...
I don't remember. I'll take the word on it.
I feel like Radiohead is in between there. Maybe? Radiohead is like, I would say that there's like...
Where was Coldplay?
I would not put Coldplay
Nah,
in there.
nah.
Also, there's no Radiohead on either of our lists. So
You're welcome.
I'll say that. My Chemical Romance. Yeah, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. My 91 is Worship and Tribute by Glassjaw.
Oh.
Fucking solid ass post-hardcore album. Got a lot of bops on it. I don't got too much to say about it, just because I'm probably gonna talk a bit more about Glassjaw later. Spoilers. But like has a lot of solid. It's a good blend. So for anyone that knows Glassjaw, the album they did before this one is name of it. This is why this one isn't on. Stop it. The album they did before that was a lot more like pretty standard, like post-hardcore, like hardcore type, like just screaming. And then with Worship and Tribute is when they start like going into more melodic ideas, getting more into like almost shoegazy. I don't want to say shoegazy, but like, how would you classify Deftones? Like once they started getting into the flow of their stuff.
God, that's a tough one. I don't know.
But you get the general vibe that I'm saying, where it's just like kind of almost doom metal, but it's not quite there to be it. But like that kind of
it's doom punk.
Doomy like hardcore music, where it's just like a lot more about like the sound, the overall like quality and sound of the instruments, as opposed to like making it all about like screaming, like fast-paced, like just coming at you constantly. And Worship and Tribute gets into that a bit more.
Real.
It's good. Yeah. Great album. If his music is so promising, why did he leave it to become a boxer?
With a name like Glassjaw, he's not gonna last very long.
And then your 91 is...
Hey, it's The Diamond by The Sound of Urchin.
I got no fucking clue.
You got
what
People
this
in the
is.
Clouds, you got Bomb Me, you got just some real good
I'll leave
freaking...
you to talk about this one.
Have fun.
I'm gonna cut my hair.
I would call this, it's somewhere between punk and rock. Like, I couldn't just dismissively call it one or the other. But something I came across purely by chance, someone showed me. Actually, that wasn't even it. It was something on like Vitamin Records when everyone was getting on eMusic or whatever the fuck the name of that website was for like downloading music. It was one of the new premier, hey, this would actually be legal and help people if you use this. And a lot of people utilized it. There was occasionally, upon being on like a subscription service, like recommendations, which led me to that song on there, People in the Clouds, and that it became this very, very like, okay, this has wheedled its way into my brain, this is stuck in my head, let me check out the rest of it, and I very much liked it. It's just really, really good stuff.
Sure.
Really driving, really energetic, and just it's a solid rock album.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that it's unique in the fact that it's not. You know what I mean? It's nothing super, super special to write home about, but there's just something about it that's very, very good, very fascinating, and I really like the guy's voice.
Okay.
You know, so if you have a good vocalist, that's most of what you need. The songwriting is good. And every time I listen to it, I remember how much I like it, because I forget usually that it's like a really good album until I put it on again.
For sure.
And you know, it's good. It soothes the angry soul, and it's got some really great lyrics. So,
Sounds good.
Good album.
My number 90 is Obsidian by Baths.
Hey.
Fucking solid ass electronic album. Just nice and dark and moody. Like, a couple of really good ass bops on there. Like, Baths. Fucking Will Weisenfeld's production is so interesting. I think just because there are times where it almost feels like kind of. I'm trying to think of like how to describe it. Not staticky, like. And when I say poppy, I don't mean like, you know, pop music. I mean like the actual production, like the sound of the instruments, like has like a good like dark graininess to it.
Right on.
Especially on like his early stuff. That's so good and like really comes into bloom on Obsidian as an album. But yeah, it's good stuff. Definitely recommend Baths as an artist. I haven't had the chance to listen to his newer stuff, but both Obsidian and Cerulean, like those two are kind of basically in the running for that spot. Like they're both really, really fucking good. Highly recommended.
Right now.
Wafidi says, real jukebox music match.
No, I think it was E-Music. It was something weird like that.
Okay. Your number 90
is Fantasies by Metric. This is a fine album. The album that, at least to my understanding, the track that they put on the Scott Pilgrim movie soundtrack was initially going to go on it, but I see why they omitted it, because it's a worse song than anything on here. This is a really great, just kind of very dark, I listen to it when I'm not in a great place, I'll say that. The vocalist, she's just got a really great voice. The music is written pretty well. There's a few lyrics in it that hit me in kind of a really deep space, and it's just really good. It does a lot of stuff. It doesn't get boring. It has like a fair deal of range, and I just really love the sound that comes out of this one.
For sure. That's all I got for that one.
Yep.
Alright.
Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
Danny says that's a real good album.
Yeah.
And Bagumbo says I do like a nice sad album.
Hell yeah. Also, welcome, Danny.
Welcome, Danny. My number 89 is the crossover album with Ghostface Killah and Bad Bad Not Good called Sour Soul.
Yo.
Two tastes. That album is like a peanut butter and chocolate fucking situation where it's like, I love jazz, I love Ghostface Killah. Let's just fucking put the two of them together, and it's good. If you like to hear Ghostface Killah rap over jazz instrumentals, listen to it. It's great for that.
Jazz and rap are a wonderful melding.
There's a couple good features on there. There's a track that has Danny Brown on it that's really fucking good.
Yo.
And the Doom has a really good spot on it. Kendrick Lamar is on there too.
Righto.
Fucking good listen. If you're like me and your favorite member of the Wu-Tang Clan is Ghostface Killah, then check it out.
And especially if you like jazz too.
That's my hot take of the stream, is that I think Ghostface Killah is the best member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Don't know how much of a hot take it is, but it's a take.
So, getting the advice, listen to this protest pop album, probably doesn't create a ton of excitement in most people. But I've dedicated an entire video to this album.
Yes, you did.
It is a fine one.
It's good. I listened to it with you at some point, and like
it was during a road trip, actually.
Yes, it was.
Where it was like, okay, my turn to put something in. Just trust me here. Again, one of those situations where it's like, I know the initial song is, it's me and Woo. It doesn't matter. Everything else on it is better. The initial song itself is actually pretty good. It's worth, listening through the entire thing. It's got a lot of snippets of just the media and commercials and ads from stuff in the UK. Just very much just railing commercialization. And the weirdest thing to me is that, to my understanding at least, this was their least favorite album. like when they made this, they didn't like it. A lot of it was inspired by how they were told to do it by their company, and they encouraged people to steal it. So it's a funny little thing there, but it's...
You gotta love it.
Yeah,
I want to
definitely.
say that Death Grips did the same thing with the Money Store.
I know.
Like, that album came out, like, when they got a major record deal, and I think they, like, put that shit out on, like, torrent sites.
Yo.
They put it out somewhere for free, and, like, I think they lost their contract after that.
Yo.
And I feel like that was the hearsay. And then Owen said, this is the least surprising part of the stream.
There you go.
And Evie also says that song is good, though.
Yeah, like I said, it's an okay song. It's good in its own. If you take the time to genuinely listen to it, it's good. But the rest of the album is so worth checking out. So you definitely... Huh?
Morevid says Death Grips leaked their third album, No Love Deep Web, for sure. Also, welcome to the stream.
Yes, welcome.
Happy to have you here.
We have a learned music person here. We're screwed. But yeah, I very much recommend it. It is probably the best, happiest time you'll have listening to how horrible the government is. Not just there, but relatably throughout any kind of developed country and all of its fucked up nonsense. So, yeah,
For sure.
it's really good. Really universal, kind of, not nostalgic, very cathartic listen.
For sure. My 88 is Music is the Key of Life by Sugiyuram. I may not have spelt their name right. I can never remember how to do it. This is one that I fucking found out about like just earlier this year. I'm on the Action Button Discord and part of the music club there, and someone recommended that. And this is one of the like most immediately gripping like electronic like dance albums that I've ever fucking listened to. Like, there's a track on there that it's called Pina Colada. It's the one that I played for you. That
You and I were
like,
having a religious experience to that song.
No, yeah, that song came on. We listened all the way through it, and I was immediately like, I need to listen to that again.
And I was like,
it's
yes,
so
do it.
fucking good.
We had just gotten the sound bar, and I was like,
That's
do it
true.
again.
We did just get a sound bar.
So
when
we're
that
hearing it in
happened.
full fidelity right in our face,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, Jay, I'm gonna need you to do that. Yes, do replay that.
But yeah, the production on that album is so clean. Every
is.
song on it has such a good drive to it. Like, it kind of gets around to every issue that I tend to have with a lot of electronic music, where like the majority of the time I get partway through a song and I'm like, okay, I kind of get it at this
Yeah.
point. Can we just get to the end of it?
It doesn't do that.
But no, yeah, that's a shocking thing, especially with how long some of the songs on that album are. Like, I never feel that urge to be like, I want to go to the next one. Like, it's just real fucking solid. Also, it has art by Araki
Which-
of JoJo's fame.
Yeah, so say no more.
There you
know?
go. That's my 88. Your 88 is Gorilla's self-titled.
Yes.
Is
that's
this your
one.
Okay, no, I know it's not your one instance of Gorilla's on there.
But this album, my god, there was, I think this came out when I was like maybe in like early teenage years, if not like just before.
Yeah, that album was like 2001.
Yeah, so like right around that area, you know, where a lot of my, as a child, I had a lot of just like real immense levels of depression that very much melded into my nostalgic ties to things, because that all kind of was the same deal. So very powerful emotions at the time, but it's where I started discovering a lot of different music. And when this happened, it was very... I didn't listen to a lot of Blur. Like, I didn't know much of, you know, Damon Albarn's work. I still don't, to this day.
Yeah, same.
But this struck a real good chord with me, and it's, as much as I like a lot of the other albums, this one just really still has that special place with me of like, this is when this artist happened, you know, this is when this project occurred. And that was just kind of a magical time when that started. It was played everywhere. It was, the videos were all over the place. You couldn't escape it. But it also wasn't overplayed. Like, you didn't get tired of it. It was just really, really great. The album goes in so many different directions and so many different feelings. And again, one of those things I can't bring myself to skip anything on.
For sure. I don't feel as strongly about it, but I definitely have those ties because the music videos for that got played a lot on Toonami. And I specifically remember like seeing those and being like, all right, so there's just this animated like fake band that just puts out these songs. That's pretty sick. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, for me, that album, I don't think it's bad, but there's at points it kind of feels like it meanders a bit. Like I feel like I talked to you a little bit about it, but like the ones that are like the more low-key, like maybe the instrumentals, or the ones that are like kind of like simplistic, like A1M1.
I like A1M1.
I don't think it's bad. It's just I think that like I kind of get lost in that album in a way that isn't like, you know.
How do you feel about double bass?
I can't remember what double bass sounds
I
like.
love double bass. I love all the instrumentals on that album just as much. Like, they're so synonymous with a particular time of me falling asleep on a bus tour from school, you know?
For sure.
But it really worked its way in, and I think yet another really solid album for me, so...
For sure.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Bagumbo says, I like the Gorillaz a lot. And Wafidi says, my knowledge begins and ends with the one long MTV special they had, specifically the bit where the blue-haired guy pisses in the kitchen sink for whatever reason. You mean the Cribs episode about Gorillaz?
Oh god, yeah.
We rewatched that somewhat recently. I can't remember why.
Yeah, some friends of ours had have like the DVD of like all the like promotional footage, I believe.
Oh, weird. Okay.
It was Chris and Kelly.
Oh.
They've got just all the DVDs of all the like stuff and the promotional things. So they've got like all of those.
Okay.
Your 87
is In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 by Coheed and Cambria. Some people don't like Coheed and Cambria, especially not as a prog rock band, because if we're being honest, they don't really do anything too special. But they got a lot of fucking good-ass songs on that album in particular. Like, that album came out definitely in that prime time, like, high school time, and there were so many singles off of it that are, like, again, just drilled into my brain. Like, Blood Red Summer, Favorite House Atlantic. Those are, like, the two big singles off that one, but, like... The title track on that album is super good. Like the like trio, they always have like a weird like little trio of songs on like the album that are supposed to be like, okay, here's where the story's really picking up, and I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't care about whatever.
I'm not here for the lore.
I don't care about whatever dumb comic book shit you're doing here. Just I want to hear Claudio Sanchez sing in his very high voice.
I want to hear the squeaky boy feel feelings. Give me him.
I remember when the video for Favorite House Atlantic came out, and I thought that the girls that are like kind of prominently featured in that video were actually the ones that are supposed to be like the band members, and that like the doofy guys that were like playing instruments were a joke, because I could not believe that. At the time, I was not very, like, musically knowledgeable.
Sure.
So, like, I could not believe that a man could sing at that high pitch of volume. So, to find out that, like, oh no, yep, that guy is the vocalist, was a very eye-opening moment for me. But it's a very solid indie rock, prog in scare quotes album. Good listen.
That sounds wonderful.
And your 87 is...
World Eater by Blank Mass. So this is going to be a very esoteric one for a lot of people. This one, just a lot of it's... I think it is all just instrumentals. It's electronic, it's very grainy at parts, it's very kind of... I would say very almost kind of dark themed. There are bits in it that are very like almost uplifting and dreamlike. I love using that terminology very plainly. Just music that you listen to and you just start zoning out and like you're getting visuals in your head hearing it. Yeah. Just really, really wonderful stuff. At times granular, at times melodic, at times just kind of floaty. But it's just really, really good. It's something that I believe I came across through my sister, I think. She's actually recommended me a lot of music over the years.
For sure.
But something I found out about probably like I want to say I maybe found this like maybe early after I like transitioned, if not shortly before. But like that kind of era of time, this one just, it sticks with me. It's really great. I often feel myself having the urge to throw that on and just kind of reabsorb the album. Another one that you kind of revisit and you forget how much you love it.
Okay.
But yeah, I highly recommend giving this a listen if you're into just like weird abstract electronic stuff.
Okay. And Wafidi asks, had you never heard Under Pressure before, Jay? Women struggle to sing that long lie. I don't know if I had at the time. I maybe had, but I never quite absorbed it. But also the other thing is like Coheed and Cambria, like that guy like is constantly like maintaining that super high register. And I think that was the thing that tripped me up into my thought process at the time.
You were thinking, how would a guy sing that high? I mean, if they could, I'd like to know how, just for research, not for any reasons, I mean,
I didn't say it, but,
we all have those
you're
thoughts.
certainly not wrong. My number 86 is Major Minor by Thrice. Thrice is like my favorite, arguably mediocre post-hardcore band.
We all have those.
Like, but the thing is, mediocre is like a very mean way of phrasing it. They are extremely consistent. Aside from like maybe the first album that they put out, I don't think that they have ever put out like an album that I would say was bad. Like everything they've done is like at least you listen to it and you're like,
I'm like, all right.
yeah, that's all right.
I'll find it. Whenever you play Thrice, I always go, hey Jay, who is this? And you go, it's Thrice. And I go, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
After a while, I started going, hey, is this Thrice? And you're like, yep, you finally got it. And I'm like, all right. I do enjoy their stuff.
But yeah, like Major Minor is like kind of more of a standard like hard rocky type album, but it's so kind of like stripped down and simple, but it's got a good sound to the like instruments. That reliable would be the term you're looking for there. Thank you. That is another good term to use for them. But like it's just Major Minor is just a solid ass album, and they always like are good at like throwing on one or two songs on their albums that's like essentially like the anthem song that you listen to and you like feel your soul being uplifted. You're like, oh fuck yeah, this is the shit. Also, I think Thrice is like the only Christian band that I enjoy.
Are they Christian coded?
They're definitely Christian coded. Like
Alright.
the lead singer is definitely like outspoken about that stuff.
All right.
But like when you, especially with some of the older things, like you read some of the lyrics and you're like, you might be singing about Jesus here. It's just like there's a good chance that you might be talking about Jesus here. However, it is coated just enough that you're not 100% able to pin it on that. So there you go. Thrice. Pretty good. Not gonna be the first time they're on this list. Or not gonna be the only time they're on this list.
It is going to be the first time.
I can't not think of Major Minor's Majestic March, horrible marching game for the Wii. I don't know that one, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately.
Maybe.
Sometimes you need a band that won't drop the ball but present no surprises. Yeah, that is a very good way of phrasing that. Then your 86 is...
Hey, it's Vinny Vinesauce, the Red Vox guy, with his album Another Life. This album came out probably a year before I heard of it because I was actually watching, Vinny talking about his music, talking about it while like going over the artwork that people do for him on his, after his streams. And I was going, he has a band. Usually, when you know someone who's does some other kind of media and says, oh, I do music too. The best thing to do is just not. The best thing to do is just go like, I probably don't care. In this case, I'm glad that I did check it out. This The thing is, a lot of his very outspoken influences are very much similar to mine in writing and listening, so like when I hear this, I hear all those influences and they go so damn well together. I'm a very big fan of this one. It's something that came to me like kind of at the, I want to say maybe was it like nearing the middle or tail end of last year? So like, it was like during the disaster year when everyone was, you know, it was an album
It
I
was
needed.
definitely last year. I can't remember where exactly.
But one of those things that you just needed at the time, where it's like this, you hear this thing and you go, oh, I feel like I'm spiritually a little bit better, like healthier for having heard this. But one of those things where it's like, I needed another, oh man, this album, and it came to me at a real good time. Just expressing a lot of emotions. Yeah, especially when you hear him talking about like some of the stuff he's gone through with what he does, you know, you hear some of the stuff and you go, oh, I know how you're feeling there.
Yeah.
But you know, very, very well written, very, very timeless. It doesn't feel like stilted and stuck in one place. It just,
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah.
I've listened to that album with you before, and it definitely, it has its influences, but very much like makes its own kind of mark to it.
And that's what I think is the very beautiful thing about it, is that like on its face it was like, oh shit, this sounds already, you know, on its face way better than I expected it to, but I've re-listened to it so many times and I'm just like, is yeah, you can ask her. And it's just been, it's been a great time every time. It's, you know, again, if music can make me feel feelings, that means a lot to me.
I would hope that music makes you feel things.
Yeah. It hits me in a really deep spot, and I like it.
Waffi's dropping hot lore about Major Minor's Majestic March.
Let's hear it.
They did a handful of licensed titles on phones, portables, but I think that was their last original IP until that Kickstarter that failed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, oops.
Wrong one. Whoop.
My number 85 is The College Dropout by Kanye West. This was definitely like my favorite album of like, what year was it? I think it was like, it was 2003 that College Dropout came out, but like highly, highly foundational of an album for me. Like there are so many tracks on that I don't think Kanye West is still quite topped to this day. All Falls Down is still like fucking amazing. Like nothing is as good as that. Like it feels, College Dropout as an album definitely feels like someone taking that fucking big shot and just shooting for the stars and like nailing it. Like it is if it weren't for the fact that Kanye West does in fact still have a career, I would say that almost feels like a lightning in the bottle moment. Like nothing he did afterwards felt like it had that same kind of soul to it that College Dropout did, at least at the time. That might be colored by like rose-tinted like nostalgia goggles, but like
We're including that as a valid reason here.
yeah, but
We
just-
very loosely set the rules for this.
yeah,
Like,
but like even the fucking goofy songs on that album, like Workout Plan, I love Workout Plan. That song is kind of garbage, but every time that it comes on, it's a fucking bop, and I love it. It's very solid. It makes you regret some of the choices that maybe Kanye West has made over his life, but you know, it's a damn good album.
alright, so my number 85 is Atomizer by Big Black.
This almost made my list.
Right out, yeah, I will say this was almost, it was, I had to pick between this one and Songs About Fucking. But
Oh, you don't have songs about fucking on your list?
I don't. The thing that I think when I was ruminating over it, you mentioned something that I think tilted me in this direction, was because while it still has the same kind of grungy, noisy aesthetic, it's mixed better. The way that that's done is they get that same sound, but there's more time in production to make sure that that's all like level, that everything sounds good, you can understand them a little bit better.
It's fully fleshed out.
It's fully
Like,
fleshed out.
That's the frustrating thing about songs about fucking, is like there are so many fucking good songs on that album, but like it is all just kind of like mixed very quietly. So like the power of is it The Power of American Trucking is the name of the first song on Songs About Fucking?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like that song is such a fucking good start to an album, but it's mixed so quietly that you like it doesn't feel like it has the punch to it that it should. So many good songs on that Boss Baby, says Eoghan.
But yeah, this one, this one had like, Bazooka Joe. It had, this one has Kerosene,
Joe Man's
right?
back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Joe. Welcome back, Joe. Hang with me, Joe. Hang with me, Joe.
Hang with me,
Joe.
So,
You don't have to be alone, Joe.
So brilliant stuff. This one has Kerosene on it too, right?
Yes.
Because I was re-listening through this stuff, like this one, like Kerosene.
Which you want to talk about a fucking song to like disassociate to.
Oh yeah.
Like a song about like just wanting to not be where you are anymore, to literally burn it down.
It felt very much like how I was feeling when we were, stuck in Phoenix. I grew up in that town. I lived there my whole life.
Yeah.
Probably was going to die in that town. Lived there my whole life. So very relatable, but the feeling of just being trapped in the place that you're in and just nothing happening there and just feeling like setting everything ablaze.
Yes.
And it's a very cathartic and very just driving and intense song. The noise that comes out of some of the notes, like how the guitars are mixed, is fucking incredible. And those two are very much like the tracks that particularly just really pop out for me.
I think that was the reason why it didn't quite make the cut, is like those are like the two songs that are like, these are fucking so good, but nothing on that album quite hits at that same level. Like
it's
Kerosene is like a maybe top 100 songs of all time thing, but that's like a detriment to the album as a whole.
Exactly. The album as a whole is really great, but then there's the issue of like, I don't really know all the songs by name. I love throwing it on, I love hearing it, but there are only like 2 songs that I would be like, buddy, you gotta sit down and listen to this. Like, this is gonna change your life.
Yeah.
But it's just wonderful stuff.
For sure.
A real good punk.
Magumbo said, Songs About Fucking is good and has that super iconic cover. I mean, yeah.
Kraftwerk, They got
the model. Yeah. All right, 84. Pass the Flask by The Bled.
Oh.
This is another one of those like albums that I got from my older brother when I was like 13 or 14. Like super fucking solid metalcore album. Like 10 tracks long, not a fucking bad track on that album. All the songs are like composed really well. Like there's just generally a lot of, it's weird to say, but there's like a lot of good movement to it. It's weird to say these things about a fucking metalcore album. You know what metalcore sounds like. It's all like very just like, Yeah,
sure.
That's my summarization of that. But thank you. But like they're well composed songs.
Yeah.
Which is, again, feels weird to say, but it's super solid. If you're looking for a good metalcore album, check out Pass the Flask by The Bled. It's great.
You'll drink, you'll bleed, you'll change your life. It's good stuff. Alright, what's my 84? I forget. Hey, Simple Things by 07. I think this is definitely the first album I heard by them, and also just, God, it's so good. This is some, like, relaxing music. This is some, like, chilling out music. This is some fucking music. This is some music that you put on and you're just like, yeah, I feel alright. This is good. This is just this puts
This is
me
the
in
real songs about fucking.
Yeah, exactly, right? But I mean, like one of the tracks has the lyrics, "I'm watching porn in a hotel dressing gown." Yeah, pops right by you without. Yeah, the first time I really listened to the lyrics, I was just like, oh shit. But I've known about this for many, many years. At least, like I think I discovered this probably like 12 years ago.
wow.
And yeah, but like it's really, this artist has stuck with me. They're just really amazing, flowy, just really great electronic music. Just I don't even know if because I was like, I couldn't just like throw this under electronic. There's so many instruments involved, a lot of like orchestral stuff, and just like so many little elements that just lead into just
lo-fi beats to fuck to.
Yeah, there you go.
Says Magumbo.
It's not lo-fi though, but yeah, damn near. It's just a really, really fantastic and happy time, and I played them a little bit like after we moved. We had a little bit of anxiety after like all of the moves suddenly happened, and I was playing like a couple of these albums quite a bit just to kind of put an ease of like, all right, yeah, you know.
Yeah, sounds like a good boss, baby.
It's my number 84.
My number 83, Iron Man by Ghostface Killah. I told you you'd be back. I told you Ghostface would be back. Fucking great. Iron Man is my favorite solo Wu-Tang album. Like, just really, really good. Ghostface as, like, both a lyricist and just a rapper. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like, one, lyrically, he's just very good, but his delivery is always so strong on every song that he's on that I feel like it kind of overshadows any actual, like, lyrical competency. Like, a lot of people tend to say, like, Raekwon is their favorite, or the Jizza, but, like, Ghostface has such a good delivery. Like, every verse he spits sounds like he is biting into someone, and it feels good to hear Ghostface Killah rap, regardless of how many times I've heard him. And there's All I've Got Is You is a song on that album, and is lyrically like such a raw, just him recounting like what he went through, like how he was raised as a kid, like his familial situation, and you just hear him talk about this shit, and it's like, oh fuck, damn, Ghostface, you had it really fucking hard as a kid. Like, brothers with like having muscular dystrophy and stuff, like he works that into a verse, like that phrase, like, and it's just such a touching song that like that is one of those like signposts of like, this song on this album is what has cemented it as like one of my all-time favorites. But yeah, everything else on it is like so good. It's got beats by the RZA on it, so it's good in those regards. Raekwon is on. It's got Daytona 500. It's got the first commercially released AMV on it. Daytona 500, the music video for that was a fucking Speed Racer AMV, basically. Yo. That's not even
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like they literally just took footage from Speed Racer and put it over that song, and it's fucking
so cool.
It's fucking great. It rules. Love Daytona 500 as a song. Anyways, that's my 83, Iron Man by Ghostface Killah. Yours is...
Hey, it's Happy Hour by King Missile. This is yet another one that's kind of thrown into the bin of like, you know, hey, this single, but like, you know, again, one of those things that it's like, hey, listen to the rest of this. Detachable Penis, alongside being an ambition of mine, is a really interesting song. And it's great in its own right, very punk in that right. Cool, yeah, very funny. But like, God, when I think of just the various other tracks on here that have just really resonated with me, like there's one that's talking about just like, there's one that's framed from the mind of someone who's just kind of losing his focus and like, you know, just kind of the, how do I put this? Just kind of losing faith and like waiting for any kind of God to intervene, wherein everything just feels severely hopeless. You know, and just getting caught up in all the performative aspects of stuff and going, what the hell's the point of this?
Yeah.
One about someone having like an existential crisis. I forget the guy's name, but it's just some guy's name, and I'm trying to remember what the hell it is. but that one just where he's rambling
Does
off.
this one have the cheesecake truck song? Asks
I don't believe
Gumbo.
it does. But it's just there's so many little tracks on here. The lyrics are amazing. But just really great lyrics, great music. It's very 90s. It's very 90s. But it's one of those little touchstones of time where you get this sort of feeling in music that you didn't really hear after it. Kind of that area of like not quite grunge, but kind of within that realm.
Sure.
And just musical poetry that go together in a really beautiful way, and I highly recommend listening.
Very
to.
alt rock of the 90s.
Yeah. But in a very, I don't even want to say unique way, but just in a way that for that one was something special to me.
Sure. Okay. We're starting to hit a good momentum going
We
through
are.
this. Number 82. Stop making sense. God. Hold on. Nope. Fuck.
Nope.
I
Oh,
revealed.
no.
I revealed by 81. Number 82. Stop Making Sense by the Talking Heads. I have not had a Talking Heads like album, like proper studio album that like fully congeals into something that I love. Stop Making Sense is the only album of theirs that's like it has all the best songs that they've done, at least in my opinion, on it. Like it's all really fucking excellent performances. I can't believe Rick Astley is merely at 81 on Jay's list. Oh damn. Evie says Stop Making Sense is maybe my favorite album, depending on what day you ask me.
Wow.
Damn. Alright, there's people who side with me on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
People, but it's just got all the singles that you wanted them, all super fucking solid performances. It's got a great concert video that you can watch if you want to that has this like really cool layering. So I haven't watched all the way through it, but I have watched like bits and pieces of it. Like the first chunk of it is very much kind of each member of the band is introduced with each song. So it becomes this really cool like layering effect where like the first song is Psycho Killer. It is David Byrne on the stage with a acoustic guitar and a boombox next to him.
Oh yeah, you showed me this.
Yeah, then the bass player comes out in the next song, then like the guitarist and like the drummer come out, and then it just keeps on building and building. So it's a really, really cool album for that. It's basically the best introduction to the Talking Heads that you could really do. Like, definitely, I feel like you would probably vibe more with their albums whenever you get around to them.
I mean, fair deal. When you showed me this album, I immediately fell in love with it. Like, it is a wonderful album.
But
I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of their work, though, too.
And that's part of what feels weird to me is I feel like so many people have said that, like, Remain in Light is one of the best albums of all time. And that album to me is like the first half of that album is one of the best albums of all time. And then it just kind of dips off and it's not as good as the rest of it.
Righto.
But Stop Making Sense. Great fucking album.
Seems like half the chat already knows, too.
Apparently.
So that's solidarity.
Let me catch up on a couple things here. Gumbo said, I just watched the movie last month and it's so good. Wafidi asked, by the by, how many other side albums will show up later down the lists? Lives or compilations? I think I only have one other, like, compilation album.
I definitely have some, like, compilations, people coming together to make a thing, or just, like, you know, just things that are, like, best ofs. They do exist on there, but there are purposes for them that I will explain.
Are we including EPs as side things?
Because we got a couple.
Yeah, if we are including that, then I have a lot later on in my list. The movie makes being in a band seem like so much fun. Yeah, we both know that that's the unfortunate not reality. Your 82 is...
Hey, it's Bonaparte's Too Much.
I have no idea about this, so I'm going to use the opportunity to use that.
Righto. So with such songs as Who Took the Pill, let's see, the Anti-Anti, just really, I don't even really know how to describe the sound that comes from this album. A very unique sounding singer. I don't remember where he's from. I don't think he's from the States. I think he's like from Europe. But again, I don't recall. I've done so little looking into this band other than just like listening to their stuff. But this album was kind of at a real, one of those hits you at a special time sort of albums. And just a lot of the tracks on it are really great for me. It does have its dips. There are points in it where it's just kind of like, okay, alright, I get it. But enough of it throughout the album, there are bits that are just like, this is so driving, this is so fascinating, the sound coming out of the guitar, the lyrics are really fun. And it's just a really good time. Nothing that is a massive driving force in my listening habits, but definitely something that keeps popping up in my listening rotation just here and there where I'm like, yeah, this was solid. Hey, good timing. I ran out of shit to say about this album.
Awesome.
Yay.
EPs, mini albums, various artist albums, soundtracks, remix albums. Okay, that's what Graffiti is considered.
There's gonna be a few.
Yes, I have a lot of EPs, and I have one soundtrack on my list that I will definitely highlight. So my number 81 is, as people maybe saw a little spoiler for number 80. 81 is Good News for People Who Love Bad News by Modest Mouse. That is, I feel like I've hit the point in my life where that is my favorite one of theirs, because it, like I was describing earlier with Moon and Antarctica, Good News for People Who Love Bad News feels like Isaac Brooke as a songwriter, like fully maturing and kind of, because a lot of Modest Mouse is extremely existential. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell that he's someone who like thinks about like his place in the world.
Man, I can't wait till I'm old enough to feel ways about stuff.
Yeah. And like Good News for People Who Love Bad News feels like someone kind of finally reaching a conclusion on how they feel about life, or like,
that's a good way to put it,
where like there's a lot of bad stuff that happens, but like you do your best to just make it through, and cherish the people that are there with you, stuff like that. Like there are peaks of that in Moon and Antarctica, like in that song Life Like Weeds on Moon and Antarctica. You start seeing like the seedlings of those ideas. Good News for People Who Love Bad News feels like that kind of finally blooming and coming fully into form. I mean, like Bukowski as a song is like about realizing like, God, why would you want to be such like a fucking cynic about the world? Like, kind of coming to that realization, like, God, yeah, I do have these thoughts, but like, who would want to be such an asshole? As he says. And Ocean Breathe Salty as a song is one of those ones that like punches me in the gut every single time that I listen to it. It's just shoves its fist into my chest and pulls my heart out. I'm just like, oh God. But yeah, I love that album. Year 91 though is,
it's The Weird Revolution by Butthole Surfers. They're the ones who did Pepper, the song everyone knows. That's not on this album. This album, I'm trying to think of songs that someone may have heard because it has been in like certain media. Is like, it's got like Jet Fighter on it. It's got what's the one? God, I can never remember the name of it, but the one that's
was it in Guitar Hero?
No, I don't think it was. I don't know. Like, I'm not remembering.
I only know
I should have the track list in front of me is what I should be doing.
Really, that's something that we should have had ready as like a cheat sheet. Is
but like,
track listings.
But yeah, like Saturn on there is really great. There's just kind of a track about mortality. But it's a really weird and really out there and really just kind of, you know, as they do kind of their experimental stuff sort of album. And it kind of feels like their earlier work kind of played sideways. It kind of has the same feeling as that, but maybe I like it a lot. I like it a bit better.
Okay.
I like it a bit better.
Evie confirms the one that was in Guitar Hero was on Independent Worm Saloon.
Oh yeah, that's a different one.
Okay.
But yeah, this is real good solid work on their stuff. I really love shit like that. It's just like a guy screaming about shit. It's wonderful.
Magumbo says the track listings would be hell to keep track of. No pun intended.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true, yeah. My number 80 is London Calling by The Clash. Fucking solid ass, like, extremely foundational punk album. Hard to think of a bad track on that album. Like, it's just good. People know about London Calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone in the chat is saying, fucking classic, excellent choice. If you haven't listened to London Calling and you like punk music, listen to London Calling. It's good. It extremely holds up, despite being like from the like early 80s, like maybe 80, 79, I think is when that one came out.
Sure.
Something like that. But yeah, fucking great album. I don't have much to say about it just because there's probably people who have said so much more about it than me. You're number 80.
You'll rebel to anything by mindless self-indulgence. This is a very fascinating thing for me. I mean, you know, being a shitcore band, being like a meme-core, like, you know, let's be offensive band at the time that they existed, you have like their first album, which for me, a little bit long, a little bit too many throwaway tracks, and in itself it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, we get it. But then the unfortunate thing when you are that kind of band, especially as time progresses and people grow out of 4chan, you become this overproduced, full of yourself trying to make a point version of it that sucks ass. And here, I think was the turning point where it was at that perfect blend of not taking themselves seriously and just dicking around, but having a level of production and intrigue in their songwriting that still kind of stuck with me.
For sure.
In a way. And I think that I still go to this one if I ever go back to it. This is the one that I revisit that has some kind of artistic merit for me and some kind of, I can still relate to it.
My go-to is always Frankenstein Girls. That was like
that
one for me.
That's the one that I feel like it's, for the list, it was just like, it's too long, there's too many drops in it, but like, that was really a hell of an aesthetic, and I did consider.
Okay.
But this one beat it.
Let's see. Wafidi says the one song from London Calling I'm familiar with is Lost in the Supermarket because the Shatner Ben Folds cover got used in the DreamWorks movie Over the Hedge. You should listen to the actual version of Lost in the Supermarket. It's extremely really good. That's Lost in the Supermarket is maybe one of my favorite songs of all time. Like I'd say it's like maybe top 20, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Possibly.
That's notable.
It's pretty high up there. And then Evie says, I want to say 82? Oh, okay. I'm familiar with it, just not the rest of the album.
Oh,
Gotcha. Alright, now we're getting into 70s. My 79 was The Fall of Troy with Phantom on the Horizon. Here's an EP, just nice, short post-hardcore, like, prog rock album. Fucking great album, front to back. Like, you get through it in, like, I think it's, like, 25 minutes. Super fun, like... I'm trying to think of how to even describe Fall of Troy. Very angular, like, guitar riff heavy stuff, like, lots of stops and starts. Like, they're interesting as a band because they are proggy, I would say, like more so than Coheed and Cambria, but they also do kind of fall into that noise or that sound of like post-hardcore, hardcore bands. So they're very interesting to listen to. Phantom on the Horizon is like supposed to be a concept album, and I don't know the actual story of it, but it flows like extremely well. There's a song on there that like has one of those one of those sections of it that like every time it comes on, I get so fucking hyped up for it. I'm like, yes, I love this part. It's so good. And I think that moment alone, that single like nice little line that happens in there is so good that it has it up at that part for me.
know.
So that's my 79. Your 79 is
Finitrive, an unexpected groovy treat. And it sure is. Let me tell you a little bit about this album. The way that I discovered this album was back in Phoenix, Arizona, where I used to live. Don't go there, it sucks. There was a record store called Circles, a place that until its closing still sold audio tapes just a few years ago. Oh, something just popped off.
oh no, just someone chatting saying I'm
right
so
on.
excited by this stream title. I'm glad.
Hey. So basically, I popped in there because we heard that they were closing. The last piece of like physical any reason
Oh,
to
and
be.
they follow too. Thank you for the follow.
Thank you. The last reason to, really be anywhere with any kind of culture was closing. And I was like, oh great, this beautiful little monument to music is closing down. That sucks. But they were having a bit of a deal. So there was like a great price to pick up a whole bunch of random albums and go, hey, this one, try some different stuff.
Yeah.
And the one that really stuck out for me, and I have it right here actually, if I can pull it out here, where's it at?
Will we post the whole list later? Yeah, sure. We'll probably put that up on the Discord.
So I have it. Yeah, it's fascinating. When you pick up something that has a bunch of like weird angular shapes with a bunch of Buddhist-looking men in their underwear on it, you know you're in for a good time. Very much kind of just not like religiously focused, but like kind of spiritually sort of like meditative lyrics and just kind of like very trancey kind of stuff. I think I've played them for you before.
You definitely have. It was one of those albums that kind of
That kind of bounced off of you.
Didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't for me.
But one of those things that like at that time in my life I was just like, oh, this is really good. This is really up my like kind of early electronic sensibilities.
Yeah.
And so I really hooked to that. And it's just one of those little kind of bumps in my music listening that just kind of it gave me a really good time. It was an unexpected groovy treat, as promised, and continues to be to this day.
7 Cheese Pizza says you can't tell me what to do, Mom. I mean, we ain't your moms, so we're not gonna tell you what to do.
I mean, one doesn't exclude the other, but even still, we're gonna do neither. I don't want to be a mother. I'd be a terrible mother.
All right. So number 78 for me is Daydream Nation by Sonic Youth. Great ass album. Like, it's one of those ones I don't feel like I have too much to say about it. It's just one of those extremely solid, like, front to back ones. 6 cheeses should be the limit on pizza. You're grounded. It's too many cheeses.
There's too many cheeses.
You can't be dropping 7 fucking cheeses. You're
not going to live under my roof in my home and bring 7. That is unholy. You don't bring that into. That's too many cheeses.
The Sonic Youth albums speak for themselves. It kind of, yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's hard for me to speak to it. Yeah, I don't. I feel weird that I can't say anything about it, but it's on my list. But like it belongs on there. Like Across the Breeze is again another like top 20 song for me of all time, and it has a vibe. That album has a vibe to it. That I love. That very early 90s alt rock that you can tell like shaped a lot of people. So yeah.
I think it says a lot about us when we run into these ones that are like, this can't be said but felt.
Yeah.
Like this is something that I absorbed on like this almost spiritual level. And it's like, how do you explain that in like tangible forms when something just hit you in that way?
Yeah.
So I definitely feel it. I've probably got a couple of those myself.
It's one that you sit with and it's one that you sit and ruminate in, and it just kind of those three in that way. So
Entirely fair.
I feel bad that I can't say anything about it, but that's where I'm at with that.
So, Music Has the Right to Children by Boards of Canada.
I don't listen to Boards of Canada, so
It sounds about as ethereal and bizarre as the name suggests. Basically, it's a lot of pads, a lot of synth, a lot of just like Canadian electronic music. Just, I'm trying to think where I would even put the genre or the general vibe of their music. I think they may have been like thrown onto like Adult Swim bumpers at some point. I'm trying to think like where to put this point of reference, but just like kind of just really nice, sometimes really dark leaning, sometimes kind of bizarre, just synth music. You've got Rojabiv on there. You've got I'm trying to think of the other one. There's one that particularly like super stood out to me as well. That's like I would say it's Aquarius. That for the life of it sounds like a computer becoming sentient.
Interesting.
But it's just very, very good for like zoning out. If I'm in a good place, if I'm in a bad place, there's just so much energy going on in this thing. And it's just another one of those things that I'd put up there almost next to like World Eater, like the Blank Mass album, and being like, this is a bunch of very pleasantly fascinating noises that I love filling my brain with.
Okay. And
it's just a really great album to zone out to.
Does the music that hits you in your late teens, early 20s get unintentionally stuck in your soul? I mean, there's definitely like merit to that idea of like your musical taste kind of doesn't change that much after a certain point. Like the things that you listen to at this point in time basically decides everything you're gonna like for like the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's not to say that we're not open to new things. We always discover new genres, new sounds, and fall in love with them, but it definitely dictates the general drive beyond influence of like what we tend to cater, what caters to us.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a real thing. Though I will say, I feel better about some of my more nostalgically stapled down markers because there's so many things that don't work with me anymore. I have grown out of a lot of things that just no longer feel the same to me. But there are just the few that have really kind of withstood the test of time, and that makes those even more fascinating to me.
For sure. Oh no, phone keeps freezing.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry. Alright, my 77 is I started scrolling yours up, sorry. Is Modal Soul by Nujabes.
Oh.
Now, you want to talk about an album that's fucking vibes. I listened to that album on the way home from work yesterday just to refamiliarize myself with it and make sure that it definitely belonged on that list. It fucking does. Nujabes was such a great producer, and there is just like, I don't know if effervescent is the right way to describe it, but there's like an ethereal quality to the instrumental tracks on Modal Soul that it just washes over you in a really like almost purifying way. Like even the songs that are maybe like kind of more intense, because sometimes there are people who rap over the tracks. Like there's one called I think it's called Signs, that's basically like this dude just kind of like ranting about like injustices and shit in the world, and like it's so good.
That sounds
like
good.
it just it like pierces through you in a way that few albums do.
I want to hear this.
And then there's Lovesick Part 3, I think. I've played that one for you.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, he had like a whole series of songs called Lovesick Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. And they all kind of like evolve over time. Like the idea of what it is to be lovesick, and the one that's on Modal Soul is probably my favorite one personally. I love a good stream of consciousness record, not really singing, just ranting over music. It can be pretty fucking good sometimes. But yeah, that's my 77.
I know.
Yours, as I accidentally spoiled.
Is Pretty Odd by Panic at the Disco. You know, no, not racist solo artist. You know, and not, you know, I very much more enjoyed them as a band, and like.
Yeah.
Really, that's one of those issues where with a lot of their albums there was very much those 1 or 3 songs were great. You know, when I found out that a lot of the songs that I'd heard in passing when looking into them were all on like separate albums, I was like, oh shit, here we go. But oddly, my favorite album by that band was the one where they decided to do something different. This album essentially opens with them saying, we're sorry, we know we're doing something different, but I swear it's still us. This is something that I've comedically called "What if the Beatles were good?" To which my sister even more comedically responded, so as opposed to Ocean, which is the Beatles but bad. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So like this just is a really great album, a really good sound aesthetic. The general tone of it's just very nice, and it's just kind of I would argue just a really feel-good album. Just happy vibes. Good instrumentals, good lyrics. It's just nice.
For sure.
It's just nice. But they're taking that divergence and that being the music they made that stuck with me more. I find that fascinating. And it's a...
Gothgash said that second Panic album was straight trash in my opinion. I understand some people like it, but I love the first so much I was just caught off guard. Maybe I should retry. And then follows up saying, also I got a crush on Brendan Urie. Which you
know what
said,
I've said before, like, you know, in the realm to which I'm by, he's definitely on that, like, you know,
How long did it take y'all to finalize your lists, also?
God, I mean...
I spent, like, the last week and a half working on mine.
Because, like, you have a job. I spent an entire day yesterday organizing the rest of this, but, like, making the list took weeks. I think. This was a tough one. I agonized over this for an immense amount of time.
Gosh says he's bi. I'm like, oh, hope for me.
Gotta have high hopes.
But
no, yeah, he's
Alright, my 76 is Things Fall Apart by The Roots. Picking a favorite Roots album is very difficult, but I think Things Fall Apart is the best intersection of the Roots between them doing like kind of just their standard like Roots do like just pretty standard like hip hop stuff, except they have like a proper band behind them, so it like makes the music feel like tighter to it. But Things Fall Apart has there's an idea behind Things Fall Apart where the opening track of it is, I'm not sure what the excerpt is from, but it's essentially like kind of is about how hip-hop is oftentimes like not fully utilized as like art, product, anything of that nature. And I think Things Fall Apart is one of those things that's so perfectly like it sets out with that as like the thesis that's trying to like build off of and circumvent, and it definitely feels like it does that. Like it's a lot, all the production on it is like really fucking interesting, but they all still like most of the tracks on it still operate as like just solid, like maybe not all as singles, but like you could listen to a track off that and be like, yeah, this is a fucking good ass like song. But it has a good flow to it, and like the last track, like the last official track, not the hidden track, is like also this fucking depressing ass like story. Like it is a spoken word over an instrumental of like someone talking about like how they grew up like in an abusive household, and how that like kind of led them down a bad path in life until they eventually tragically get killed. And like it's fascinating how that album like evolves as it goes along, how it manages to balance the act of both being like a commercially viable album but still be a piece of like proper piece of art that they like put a lot of time and heart into. It's really fucking good. like, a lot of people tend to go for, like, Phrenology as, like, their go-to Roots album. Mine has always been Things Fall Apart, and that's why it falls where it does for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes, Macumbo, it definitely breaks my heart that the fucking Roots are wasted on Jimmy Fallon. Such a bummer. And then both Macumbo and Evie said, like, probably couldn't think of 100 albums, and I'm more of a singles person. There's a nipple. Your number 76 is
Transgender Dysphoria Blues by Against Me. You introduced me to this album. The
Yes.
funny thing is, I think the moment I became transgender, someone said, "Oh my god, there's this band that also has like a trans singer. You should check it out." And I think I listened to like some of the first couple tracks on their earlier work, and it didn't particularly grip me. Something I've probably, like, in listening to the rest of their work, revisited and gone, "Okay, yeah, no, it's good." But like, it just didn't really grip me. It's like, yeah, okay, this is a band. You know, good
Yeah.
for her. I'm happy. But like, you played this. I think this was like the last time we were out in California, we were visiting your mother, and we were listening to this, and I was like, who is this, and how can I hear more of it?
Yeah.
This is such a incredible album that really just drives home all of the feelings and the emotions of going through transition and like dysphoria and like just the feelings of being out of place.
Yes.
And just fighting with your own identity. There are lines in it that honestly nearly bring me to tears. It's so powerful and so just raw.
Fuck My Life 666 was one of those songs that when I listened to it, it probably wasn't immediately after coming out, but like, I remember hearing that song and just being like, fuck, yeah, you, at least as a trans femme person, you listen to that song and you're like, fuck, yeah, you fucking, yeah, sister, you say it, you fucking spill your shit, because that is definitely how it feels, like, just kind of always feeling like you're kind of in the shadow of like some true identity of femininity.
Yeah, and especially when you have like so much of like the music that's come out, you know, that's like, you know, very pro pride stuff has been kind of, you know, kind of like, go you, yay, you're strong, you're
but that
yay.
album is like
album,
a raw fucking
a raw, genuine fucking expression of just the actual emotions and the actual shit that one can go through. And it just felt like the most honest, like, you know, queer-centric album I've ever heard.
For sure.
It's so freaking good. And I've listened to it on loop before driving when I was working for Uber.
Yeah.
I was just, every time the customer got out, I was like, and back on. But it's really stuck with me.
Oh, gosh, I definitely... Maybe they're not your thing, but I certainly recommend Against Me. I think they are a fantastic fucking band, personally. I love those pride songs that everyone supports because it's a queer album of some sort, but some are just lazy and generic. Yeah, I think that's generally what you're getting across.
The ones that
there.
are just like, you know, I'm trying to think of like one example, but like I don't even know any by name, but just you hear those songs that are just like, yep, this was written by someone to sell to queer people.
I mean,
you know?
there is that one, I think it was either a Katy Perry or a Taylor Swift song.
It's like something...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't
really
matter.
Doesn't. Y'all know the ones.
Oh wow, haven't heard an Against Me track since like a decade ago, damn.
Yeah, it's worth a re-listen.
Yeah.
There's definitely plenty to be heard. Is there any other one that you would particularly recommend, album-wise? Because you know them a little bit better than I do.
I have one, but it's gonna be later on in the...
Oh, okay, well then I won't spoil it.
So, and then... Magumbo says, I maintain that Jimmy Fallon has major dirt on someone important because there's no way someone with absolutely zero charisma is so inexplicably successful. I agree. Extremely so. Alright, so, on to my 75, which is Giles Corey, self-titled album. Brainchild of the guy who does Have a Nice Life, that band. Kind of like essentially like the solo stuff that he does. If you want a nice fucking depressing ass dark album to vibe with for an evening, Giles Corey's a great album for that because, like, it's just very extremely brooding. Like, there's songs, there's a song on there called I'm Going to Do It that is kind of like, you can kind of guess what it's about. And also, bye Magumbo, thank you for dropping by.
Good one.
Yeah, we've been going for a while. This might be a 2-stream thing.
Really?
I'm realizing. Yeah, we're like already almost at 2 hours and we're only at 75.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get it to 50 and then do it again tomorrow.
Maybe not tomorrow, but another day.
As soon as we can. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, this is...
So yeah,
it's going well.
there's an album called on there, or a song on there called No One Is Ever Going to Want Me.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
it's, if you are looking for that kind of music to listen to, it is pitch perfect for that.
Okay.
I love it. But I am also a very big fan of brooding stuff. I'm gonna...
No!
Delete the nipple!
You know, that's the exact opposite of free the nipple. I'm a little...
So, your next album, number 75...
is City by Strapping Young Lad. This is a face melter of an album. This is probably... I'm trying to think like how many degrees through which I found this, because I initially discovered Devin Townsend's work finding the Ziltoid album recommended to me by someone, which for anyone who doesn't know is basically a sci-fi epic about like an alien coming to Earth and being served a terrible cup of coffee and deciding to destroy it. And probably the finest metal album based on comedy that I've ever heard. Just a really, really good producer. And so I found the rest of his work through the Devin Townsend project and later getting into Strapping Young Lad. It's hard to tell which albums are which because those two things very much are pretty much the same project. But this album is just constantly... This Canadian nerd of a person, if you've heard most of his stuff, he is an absolute dork if you listen to anything he says in interviews, and he's just a real fun-loving guy. But this is just such a driving and, like, I don't want to say angry, because that sounds like a negative, but just, like, it's a real good thing when it's just, like, you've had it with this shit, you know, kind of thing. It's really driving, really great for, like, you know, for road trips or just for, like, throwing on some good, like, thrasher. Like, you want to, like, slam your head up and down, do some head banging and hurt your neck because you're 30. This is a good one for it. Just a really wonderful, high-energy, high-impact album. But real good metal. Really, really good stuff.
Sounds good. Godcash says that's another band name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, I've got some dated ones, let me tell you.
My 74 is Nothing Was the Same by Drake. I was listening to that this morning and you, like,
I was going, what are these wonderful sounds?
Yeah.
I love this.
I really, really like Nothing Was the Same. My favorite thing about oh no. Godcash says, oh, we're gonna fight now.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I don't think Drake as an artist is like super fucking good, but I think that Nothing Was the Same as an album is incredibly solid. I think my favorite thing that a lot of songs on that album do is like, there are songs on that album like, it starts off as one song and then it just decides in like the last minute or two that's like, okay, and now we're gonna be a different song for like the last 2 minutes of this song, and I think that's fucking awesome. Like, he does that on the opening track, Tuscan Leather, like that one is fucking great. I think that Come Through is probably his best song. The ending, Pound Cake, has a not great Jay-Z verse on it, but you know, it's still a good track. I mean, a lot of Jay-Z guest verses are usually not that good.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's got Worst Behavior on it. It's got 305 to My City. That's a fucking great track. Yeah, yes, Godcash. JC phones in a lot of features. He's like, oh, I'm getting a check. All right, you've already given me the check. I guess I'll write the...
I was gonna say, I call that Snoop Dogging it. You know,
I don't know. Snoop Dogg, it depends.
It does.
Sometimes Snoop Dogg, you put him on a track and he's alright.
Yeah, I guess he was alright on the Now with Gorillaz, but like most of it is just like, I've heard him on some stuff that it's like, wow, you didn't even give like a full range of bars here, and you sure did say a couple of words. None of this had any real impact.
Kafka says, I'm gonna go off on Snoop. You are free to do that.
Absolutely.
Definitely feel free to. Alright, your number 74
That's
is...
Light and Magic by Ladytron.
Bikinis, linguini, no weenies. You know.
How am I supposed to talk about Ladytron at a time like this?
They can't. They all can't be winners.
So yeah, Ladytron. This was the album I learned about them with. Probably the one that's the most, not only nostalgically tied to me, but the one that I keep going back to. I think a lot of their other stuff is very reminiscent of this earlier work, but it's just kind of not as... It doesn't gel as well with me.
Sure.
It's not quite as timeless. I think the stuff here was very of its time, of its element, and I think it's tried to evolve from it, but here is where that sort of just super landed with me. Every track on it, just really, really good. I discovered it. This is where we're starting to get into albums that were like, I was 10. I discovered Napster. The world is at my fingertips. I am learning about shit like crazy. And this was one of the things that really got into me. You know, you've got Fire, you've got 17. Everyone knows that song. You got Evil.
Does everyone know that song?
Evil. They might not. The point is, people of my generation who listen to electronic music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's just really, really, it's a wonderful staple of electronic music. A really great artist, and it's really good.
For sure.
I really love revisiting it.
Sounds good. Wafidi asked in regards to the Jay-Z verse, is it worse than the Mick Jagger guest verse on the will.i.am track? I don't listen to will.i.am, so I don't know. I would not know. And then Kakash said, I'm waving my hand around in anger.
I knew there'd be some rage during this
my 73.
stream.
Oh, my 73 is Carnivus by Silver Sun Pickups.
Oh.
One of those albums that, like, very much came out at a specific time in my life, like, kind of poppy, indie, like, shoegaze, dreamy type sound to it. Mm-hmm. It's super solid.
Yo.
Like, it's one of those albums that's, like, so fucking solid that I, one, have trouble finding a bad... Silver Sun panics bisexually. Yeah. Like, it's just really, really good.
Righto.
Like, it's one of those albums that, the way I describe it, like, kind of feels at home. Mm-hmm. I always have to listen to that, like, on a road trip when I have, like, a long-ass drive. I always put that one on because no song, and I don't want to skip any song in that. Everything flows really well into it. The songs that aren't like the singles, like, have a really good drive to them or have, like, such a dreamy soundscape to them that they're, like, really engaging and pull you into them a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's good.
Right out.
Highly recommend Carnivus. Oh, I was trying to push a Pandora's box on you. Doesn't the very idea of a will.i.am featuring Mick Jagger song tickle your curiosity? Not really. because I have no connection to both Mick Jagger and will.i.am. It gets nothing out of me personally. Sorry to disappoint in those regards.
So, Tohu Vabohu, KMFDM. My god, KMFDM's work. Of course, I found out about them the way everyone else did, you know, the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. But they,
quick thing. Thank you for dropping by, and enjoy your lurking and listening while you're headed home, Golfgash.
Yes, have a good one. So, this one... But, like, you know, that of course, you know, Megalomaniac is on cymbals. This one's Tohu Vabohu. This album, I found it in my sort of... This was, again, one of my, okay, I need to hear the rest of this band. How are they? and I just got completely obsessed. You can basically throw on any of their work and you get that perfect kind of electronic, punky, intense feeling that you're looking for. As I believe someone comments on that they put a clip of at the beginning of this is defined as a supersonic kick in the face. It's very much that, very intense. Very just kind of high-paced electronic stuff. There's some stuff in like German and in Spanish. There's like actually like a few languages going on in here. And just really, really good. This is the album of theirs that I can throw this on and just be like, oh man, this song. Oh yeah, this song. I'm just like, I'm so excited. But it's really good.
For sure.
It's just a really wonderful, high-impact electronic time. It's so good. I don't know how to put this under a genre.
Sure.
I'm trying to think what the genre is.
Isn't KMFDM like industrial?
Yeah, you know what? That's the word. Industrial is the best word to put that. There's so many subgenres now. Like, I look back at music and go, how do you...
Sass says, I'm here for what I assume is a copyright stream. No, we have not been playing any music because we do not want to get shut down.
Absolutely.
We're playing Near Automata music, but that's it.
And even then, that might get us in trouble.
Who knows? Evie said, my time with Napster was wasted getting bits of Jeff Foxworthy albums. It's sad. And then Zerg said, let's see, so far as your albums, I know some artists I recognize in name alone. Truly, I am expert at music. Appreciate the thoughts and joy of music. You do have that.
Yay, thank you.
Alright, what was my 72?
Your 72 is...
Calculating Infinity by the Dillinger Escape Plan. Fucking banger-ass, like, metal, like, math metal album. Great shit on there. It's got 43% burn. It's got Jim Fear on it. It's got just a lot of great fucking tracks on it. If you're ever looking for like very angular, mathy, angry metal music, Dillinger Escape Plan are your guys, and Calculating Infinity is one of the best. Is it a good example of a band like maybe peaking early? They have other very good albums, but like that's the one that I point to as like that's really good. It's really, really good if you just want like a nice tight package of that. So yeah, that's that one. Year 72 is
Fucked Up Friends by Tobacco. So this is an interesting one, which will lead into something later.
Yeah. I was gonna say Welcome Sass, but I already welcome Sass.
Yeah. But, gosh, Tobacco is such an interesting... He's such an interesting producer. His music is just kind of very, very wobbly, very almost like... I'm trying to think what the word is for this, but almost kind of cryptid. Almost kind of like very bizarre and troubling. It has like this weird sort of warble about it where like the notes in it are just kind of... It's so hard to describe, but it's one of those things that when I heard it, this was the album that I discovered him in, and I was just like, this is something magical's going on here. Like something very like outside of what I'm used to hearing is happening, and I really love what it is that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But it's just really, really magical stuff. And there's a track on here with Aesop Rock where like they mesh together. It's called Dirt. They mesh together, and it's amazing. That's kind of the center point. Like, you know, some albums kind of lead up to sort of a crescendo where you're like, this is where this album was leading. This one's almost kind of like this. This one's like, it's all really good, but it has like this bump in it that's just like, oh damn, like this is okay. Like this has kind of a peak to it.
Yeah.
But it still just kind of consistently does what it does and very well. I think he's really he's a unique enough a producer that if you hear anything that he's on or that he does, you're like, oh, that's
Tobacco.
Yeah, you're like, I always go, is that it? Yeah, it's Tobacco.
Oh, okay.
You just kind of know it. But iconic, fascinating, creepy in a way in his aesthetics, it's really something great.
Sure. Lafiti said, I don't get genre labels. I've heard some KMFDM and Ministry, as well as Red Mecca by Cabaret Voltaire. It's all considered industrial, but there's a world apart between those two like groups.
Like, don't get me started on like, you know, what were we talking about? Was it like not alt rock, but like we were talking about like what do they consider like Linkin Park to be?
Oh, new metal.
Yeah, we were talking about new metal.
Yeah.
New metal is such a shit trash can of like a billion different things that are all shoved into the same box, and it's like, this can't. We need more stuff for this. That's a discussion I'll get into later.
My number 71 is Nandamonai by Wakusei Abnormal. It's fucking great ass, like, indie, indie Japanese, like, I guess rock band. Like, I guess they're kind of rock, but not really. Like, a lot of piano-driven stuff is on that album. Like, the vocalist of Wakusei Abnormal has such a good sound to her voice that really just kind of pulls you into it. Like, almost, this is saying a lot, Kate Bush-esque. Like, Kate Bush is in a world of her own, but the vocalist for Wakusei Abnormal has, like, that kind of quality where there's a unique timbre to her voice that you hear and you're like, ooh, I love whatever you're doing there. And there's songs like, there's a song on there called Inu, which was, like, the big standout when the person that introduced that album to me, like, played it, and I was like, oh, fuck, that song is so good. Because I got into them in the wake of getting really into Midori, and being very disappointed that there's no other bands like Midori.
Oh.
No one, there's bands that have, like, elements of Midori, like bits and pieces, but nothing
is quite Midori.
Nothing fucking hits the same. Like, Marigoto, like, ripping over the instrumentals on a Midori track. But anyways, Wakusei Abnormal was one of those bands I got introduced to in the wake of it, and it slightly satiated me in those regards. It's still, like, really good, but it's why it's only at, like, 70, as opposed to when I get into the Midori albums, which, spoilers, I got some Midori albums on here.
Right out.
Alright, your 71 is...
So mine is Currents by Tame Impala. This is one of those artists that, like, is very much, when people who know my more out there music hear that I like them, they're like, Bree, this is a band people have heard of. What the hell are you doing with it? And the answer to that is because I went on just kind of a random clicking spree listening to just, like, what the relevant music was. About the time, this was, like, right when I was deciding to transition.
Yeah.
So, pivotal moment in my life, very emotionally kind of tender, and I heard... I think I found the video for Let It Happen, and I was just like, let me hear the rest of this. I like what I'm hearing. And just the whole album, I love the sounds that man makes. Just all of... that's the thing, we were talking about, like, those pads, though. Like, but just when you talk about the synths that come out of stuff...
Oh, and says, Bree, this is band people have heard of. What are you doing?
Are you okay? I'm having a stroke. So, but no, like, I was just very much like, okay, this is actually doing something really good for me. This has, like, elements of bands far before it, but, like, in a way that's almost packaged for me. I really love it. Like, it's just a really great sound, and it's consistent throughout the album. My only real argument with it would just be that it is kind of so consistent that it does kind of drone on after a bit, but it's really good, and I listen to it often. It's just one of those things that will often find its way into, yeah, I want to hear this.
Sure.
I've actually listened to it this week.
For sure.
And it wasn't just for research.
Gotcha.
So there you go.
Alright. My number 70 is Commit This to Memory by Motion City Soundtrack. Fucking fantastic pop punk album, one of my absolute favorites. Motion City Soundtrack has such a strong energy to all of their stuff. Like, they're more on the poppy side of the pop punk thing, but it's just so good. Another one of those that I found, like, right at that Dem Pads, though, The Life and Times of Brie Wife City.
That'll be the name of my memoir.
Yeah. But, like, Commit This to Memory, that came out, like, right at that key time in my life where I was starting to get into music. And there's just so many tracks on there that, you know, emotionally as, like, a 14-year-old or however old I was when that album came out,
That general area.
I was like, damn. This is that shit, though.
This is that music, though. This is that real music. Yeah.
I still go back to Commit This to Memory regularly. It's so good. It is one of my favorite pop punk albums of all time, which is saying a lot for me as someone who is a pop punk enjoyer. So
Sounds like a pivotal moment.
Yeah, it's very good. One of those ones I don't have much to say on, but it's damn good.
Sure.
Your 70 is...
Hey, Red Fox is back.
There's Vinnie Vine Sauce again.
You know, I would say that Another Light was where they kind of became the perfect, like, what they should be as a band, and this is where they continued to get even better. This album was just... It's... God, it's like, I love it for all the same reasons, but it's doing different things.
Sure.
There's more kind of positive sounding tracks, more kind of just coming to peace with the self, just really emotional bits, and just like the guy uses good sound fonts. The guy, he's got some good keyboards. Whoever plays the synth in that band, like, just freaking does it. It's so... It's where that shines about as well as the guitar did and you know, Another Light. Like, this one, the keyboard's really shining through, and like all of just the many different ways that it goes. I have trouble, like, really genuinely expressing, like, what it is.
Sure.
Like, into words. It's just, this is one of those for me, this something not said but felt.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of lyrics that just kind of really resonated with me, and just a sound that just felt... You feel your skin crawl with happiness when you hear some of these, and you're just like, oh yes, I like this whole general sound aesthetic. I like this a lot.
Sass says, I don't know jack about music, I just have anime, LOL, and Crazy Frog. Well, you'll learn something about music while you're here with us.
Our recommendations are a good place to start.
Yes. My number 69, nice, is Brilliant Corners by Thelonious Monk.
Yeah.
My favorite jazz album of all time.
It's very contemporary jazz.
Like, how so?
I mean, isn't that just kind of like a pivotal staple? Like, whenever I've ever brought up jazz, people have been like, oh, like Thelonious Monk. And I've been like, yeah, okay.
I mean, I feel like the thing that people tend to point to when it comes to jazz is like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, stuff like that. Thelonious Monk's...
No one I was talking to, but okay.
Thelonious Monk's music is like extremely angular and obtuse, like the type of shit that you don't tend to get into when it comes to jazz until you've had like a couple of years with it.
Sure.
Because it's so out, like... Thelonious Monk is like the stuff that you listen to before you start getting into like actual like avant-garde, like free jazz type shit. But Brilliant Corners has my favorite jazz song of all time, which is his cover of I Surrender Dear. Fucking beautiful. Like, I think I Surrender Dear is like some old fucking like ballad from the 20s or some shit. It doesn't actually matter, but like just the sound, the absolute range that he gets out of the piano and the chords that he plays while still laying down a melody are so fucking complex but gorgeous and just dig into you in such a way that when I listened to that when I was like, this was back when I was first going through like community college for music specifically. When I first listened to that album, I was just like, oh, this is so good. How can music be so good?
And because you were in college for it, you learned how it could.
I have not analyzed like any of his music. It's so... Okay, thank you, Wafidi. It's from 1931. It's Bing Crosby's very first hit.
Oh.
But yeah, it's so good. And like Brilliant Corners as an album just has like a lot of just solid ass like songs on it.
Brilliant.
So if you wanna I think Brilliant Corners is ultimately a good introduction to jazz. It's relatively short, like for Thelonious Monk, it's nothing too weird. Like, it's good. It's a good listen. If you want some nice, like, background music, put on Brilliant Corners. Great album. You're 69. Nice.
My nice number. Hey, there's more 07.
Which means there's more fucking.
Oh yeah, this is definitely more fucking music. So, God, how do I say this other than this is the, like, I don't even want to say the cementing. There's nothing wrong with the Simple Things, but this is like, if you loved that album, this is just like, what if that, but even better? What if we just like went like full on and just did like that little bit more with it? I think that you know, the track Home on here is the one that like just eats at my heart so well in such a really fantastic way. As for like, you know, that which is lyrically driven, I mean, mostly I come here for like the instrumentals. For them, it's just like, you know, it's such a well orchestrated band, but that song just, you know, make me somewhere I can call a home, you know, being that lyric being the general vibe of, you know, the rest of the song. Just that there's so much about that feels so, you know, it's a very beautiful thing, you know.
Sure.
You got like a really, really great vocalist on there. It's just more of the same beautiful stuff. So definitely one of those things that, like, these are the two 07 albums that I would say if you want to get into them, listen to one of these and just your life is different now.
Okay. Right. I'm home, got my PC on. Last thing I heard was how much you loved Love Supreme. I mean, Love Supreme is very good. I certainly cannot take that away from Love Supreme. Alright, my number 68 is No by Boris.
Oh yeah.
Pretty recent album. It definitely has a recency bias in that way, but like, fucking good at. If you know Boris, fucking Japanese metal band, they go so many different places with their music, and I think that No is maybe my favorite one of theirs because it's them just saying like, yeah, let's just do a fucking thrash album, and it's fucking great. If you want like some of the, like, one of the tightest bands, like at least in the J-rock scene, doing a thrash album, No is for you. It's so fun. It's a good ass time. I'm just not super familiar with Monk, so I tease a bit. I gotcha. I understand. Alright. Your number 68 is... Oh, there he is.
Y'all knew you were gonna see him. The self-titled first album from Cell Dweller. There it is. Cell Dweller and No.
Wait, no. I can't imitate that meme.
But yeah, there it is. Cell Dweller. Okay, so this album, here's the thing. I heard Stay With Me, the song, years before I knew about this album. It was a song that was stuck in my head for a good long while, and I found myself just feeling like, how do I find the rest of this? I was like, I mean, I even asked some people, that song that goes like, stay with me, please don't go. And people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know who that is. I was like, damn it, I overheard this playing at a sci-fi con. Someone has to know what it is.
You quoted that song at me so many times, and I've just been, and before I finally listened to it, like, last week, or something like that.
So I would say that, like, once I finally came to this, it was everything I could have possibly hoped it would be. I found out about it because actually, like, it was like my sister or someone sent me that and just said, hey, have you heard of this?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the song. This is the person who did. Okay, all right. So then I looked into it and became completely obsessed with everything that Clayton's ever touched. It is freaking amazing. It is just kind of, this is where you kind of get into the, like, where do you call things new metal? How do you, like, set that bracket?
Sure.
There are so many things about this that are, like, you know, like, very guitar driven, and then you get into the more electronic stuff that leads into the later work after that. But here there's so many ideas going on. You can also hear, like, varying degrees of production assuming that this was probably recorded in like many different places. I'd heard tell in some of his interviews that like a couple songs were done with like some people and some were recorded later. This was such a passion project of like time and ideas. It goes everywhere. It does so many different things. It's just the range of this album is incredible, and it's everything I needed earlier on. I feel like, God, like especially with how much I fell into like Linkin Park when I was like younger, I'd have been wet for this shit, and I still am. It's so freaking great, and it's just one of those things that's like you can hear. Oh, this might have been an even bigger. Hold on. This might have been an even bigger influence to music had it had a little bit more visibility, but fantastic work.
But I was gonna say, Gothgash asks, I see the keyboard. I'm guessing you both have a pretty good background in music. I went to community college for it for like 7 years.
And I played guitar for a punk band, so she's got a pretty good background in music.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway.
Yeah, we gotta start tying it up if we want to finish at a decent time.
Sure.
Number 67 for me, Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples. Good ass fucking album. Vince Staples is one of the best rappers out there right now. Just so good. One of the funniest motherfuckers out there. Also, if you've ever watched him do like videos, didn't see a Vince album come. There it is. Or there it is.
Positionally, we're mirrored.
Has tracks produced by Sophie on it. Fucking beautiful. Has a like fantastic soundscape, like partially because it's some of it is produced by Sophie. Like you just get like more of a depth to those instrumentals that I feel like you don't tend to get in a lot of usually throwaway like rap beats. But like it's so fucking good. Like it's
you were listening to this for like the ranking for this, and I was like, "What is this? I need to know. This is so freaking good."
Even though I've had you listen to it before.
Why didn't I remember? I don't know. It's because when we do car trips, you show me like 10 things. I remember 5 of them, and I listen to 3 of them. That's what happens. But like it's.
From Vince Staples on Twitter, shout out to the whole LGBTQ here in North Carolina. If it was up to me, you could poop in whichever bathroom you wanted to. Hashtag equality. Hashtag P-quality. Shouts out to Vince. Fucking goat.
Hell yeah.
Alright, your number 67 is
So this was a very much more recent find for me. Dead Planet by Eat Static. Eat Static has done a lot of fascinating albums. I found them through Crash and Burn. I would later go on to seeing, Return to Earth, or I believe was the name of it. But I've heard
You're looking at me like I know the answer.
I'm talking to you and to chat. I'm being present in the moment. Excuse me. She don't know Eat Static. So, this is kind of funny because Eat Static is a project where like a couple of the people from a psychedelic rock band called Osric Tentacles, one I'm another huge fan of, broke off to do a bunch of like sci-fi oriented, bizarre, like alien focused electronic music. And the only issue I have with the rest of their albums is that most of them have immense dips between like really good tracks. With this one, it's just the most continuously, yes, this is what I want from you. Keep playing this. Keep doing more. Yes, that's perfect.
So it's a Coheed project, ask Gothgash.
Yeah, basically. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm getting consistently everything I want from this project. Very... It sounds like your brain is being invaded by aliens. It's a wonderful, wonderful album, and it's a really great thing to listen to.
For sure. All right, then moving on to 66. My 66, we've already talked about. It's Transgender Dysphoria Blues by Against Me.
Yeah, only you took the nipple out.
Yes, because I didn't want to put a nipple on Twitch.tv.
Well, see, I'm brave.
So I don't really have much more to add over what you said.
Yeah.
So we can kind of glide past that one. Your 66
is Recurring, the live sessions from Bonobo. Can we talk about like when we talk about like music when it comes to the beginning of when one goes, oh, I'm listening to real music now. This was kind of one of those intro albums for me into like, oh, this is what like jazz and instrumentation and like like when you think music can be, it is a fantastic instrumental album, a wonderful live stuff. These are, because like with live music, I've always had the issue usually of like with crowd noise or mixing can be an issue. Not here. The production's incredible. It's wonderful stuff. Another situation where like I never fully gelled with all of their work other than a few tracks, but this album, getting down to the raw nature of just playing like live music on actual instruments, it resonates so deeply with me.
Sure.
It's a wonderful album. Really, really great instrumentation. Just the ways that everything, the saxophone, the drums, just the general feeling of it just kind of moves in such incredible ways. And it's short, it's sweet, it's a wonderful listen, and I highly recommend it.
For sure. Nipples killed my dad in 1989. The anti-nipple party has a super majority tonight. I'm sorry. I don't want to get our channel banned because we showed an album cover.
See, I just didn't even think of it.
My number 65 is Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Fucking killer ass album. Has not aged a goddamn day since it came out. So good. Protect your neck. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
The Method Man.
Creed,
track is...
Method Man. Like, there's just fucking classics for days on that album.
And not to mention, like, can you think of a more, like, huge, incredible supergroup, a more iconic album that has been sampled, referenced, or, like, you know, aspired toward than this album? Mm-hmm. This is, like, the crucible of, like, what a lot of people have aimed for the sound of for so long. And there's a reason, because it's just fucking perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to Thelonious Monk, the second track on that album samples Thelonious Monk's cover of Black and Tan Fantasy by Duke Ellington.
Fascinating.
So
it's a hell of a train car backward.
No, yeah, it is.
Into like just how many different links of stuff. It's really cool.
How can I listen to Chamber 36 if I can't find Chambers 1 through 35?
They're on there. You just gotta find the deluxe edition, and they're all there.
See, that's the thing, Sass. We don't have the advantage of playing a AAA video game right now. We're just talking about music, so Twitch ain't gonna allow that.
Yeah.
And Gothgash said, one of my favorite Zach Fox lines ever, free the nipple man, Jordan Peele, get it out. It's good.
The being kicked in.
Alright.
Alright.
Your 65 is... There's the lad
boy
again.
Is back.
He's back.
The boy is back.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go away while
fun.
you talk about Salvador for 5 minutes.
So how does this fall above his initial album? You know, well, what can I say? This feels to me, you know, chronology aside, because there's so many remix albums, all of which are great, but their own little thing on the side. This feels like the same general sound that was coming from the later end of the initial album, but, you know, it perfects it. This is just the perfect version of it. There's just incredible tracks on here. Down to Earth, you know, the one with the breakout and like the freaking just, you know, New Elysium. Every track on here is just freaking incredible. Honestly, kind of verging on like almost industrial at times. It's everything that was like the second half of just the Cell Dweller self-named album, but like culminated into this perfection, this like almost story told of just, you know, a lot of he really loves talking about like, you know, the inequality of like AIs or like, you know, cyborg human beings. A lot of stuff discussed. Just really good. Really wonderful stuff. If you're a fan of his work, this is just a real solid example of some of my favorite songs of his. And that's all I gotta say. Just more of that good stuff.
Okay. I came in right at the end of Cell Dweller. Alright, fantastic.
I would hug that man.
My number 64 is Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides by Sophie. What a fucking good ass album. I was re-listening to that the other day for research and just runs the gamut of like, you want to talk about an album that like, yeah, fucking rest in peace to a real one. We get it, you're LGBT.
Called out.
I mean, that's kind of what I was gonna say, is like, you want to talk about an album that like just fucking beautifully trying to think of how the word to use, but just coalesces all the ideas of like being trans, where it's like you have these soft moments, but you also just have this like fucking harsh ass Sophie production that's so good and bangs so goddamn hard. Did you just say rip Sophie? I mean, unfortunately, yeah, she unfortunately passed away last year, was it?
Yeah, I think it was a car accident.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry that you're finding out now.
Yeah, we didn't want to be the
us.
people to bring that news, but yeah, we all felt some pain over that. I think I actually cried when I heard that. I was just like,
pretty sure you
it sucked.
Yeah, we can bring the vibe back. We can do it. If we remember the fucking music that she did and left for the world, like,
we can all learn from it and maybe spread more of that magic throughout the world.
So,
why is it every artist that I admire either blows their head off or gets hit by a car? I need to really keep an eye on that and like drive really carefully.
This isn't bringing the vibe
Sorry. Yeah, happy time. Okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so that was the majority of what I had to say about that.
yeah.
It's fucking great.
And hey, Endless Fantasy by Anna Monoguchi. I think that Jay has mentioned it before in other streams, but like, our song is on here, Snow Angels.
Yeah.
That kind of happened just on its own. Is serendipitously the word I'm looking for?
I guess.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just sort of happened. But this album, I'd known of it for a while. I kind of just delved deeper into it after I met you, because you listened to it, and I was sort of revisiting it in that moment and kind of liking it, like, even more than I did initially. But I'd known about the artist for a while, and this is just one of those albums that this is the one I return to.
Yeah.
It's just really good. You know, it sounds like a video game on ecstasy. It's like it sounds like the first time you played your first video game system.
For sure.
You know, it's that magical little moment in your heart.
See, the thing that I feel about Endless Fantasy specifically is I think tying it to, like, obviously it's inextricably like linked to video games just because it's a chiptune album. But I feel like doing so kind of diminishes its quality. Like, it is so good beyond that.
Oh, sure.
That tying it down with that just really drains it of some of the fucking good I think hard mode enabled, just fucking around. Also, hi lurking while we work on other stuff. Thank you, 80%. Thank you for the lurking. Evie said I first listened to Ponyboy and Face Shopping late at night, and it was like getting drop kicked in the face. It ruled. Yeah. It's so good. But yeah, like, Endless Fantasy is like front to back such a fucking fantastic album. That's another one that I re-listened to for the research on this, and like, just there's so much energy in there. It
has everything that every other chiptune project like needed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It goes so far beyond like the realm of like a chiptune album that's generally what I was trying to get across. Is like trying to tie it down to that really diminishes just how good of an album it is. And also the album art is fantastic for it. All right, moving on to my number 63.
Which we also had to censor the nipples on.
Yes, another one we had to censor the nipples on is Aratamemashita Hajimemashite Midori desu by Midori. First entry of Midori on here. One of the best bands to ever fucking do it anywhere. Just fantastic, like, noise punk jazz shit. Yes, gosh, Midori hype. Fucking Midori hype. Like, this album, it has Yukiko-san on it. It has, God, it has like 5/4 on it. It has the Himitsu one, I can't remember the full name of it, but just so many good iconic songs on it. No other vocalist out there has a voice, like, obviously every vocalist has their own
voice,
has their own sound, but like Marigoto is just so fucking good at what she does. It is unreal. Like, just to be able to be switching from these like very like poppy, almost like idol song type tonality or timbre to her voice, to switch to just like fucking screaming bloody murder on some songs. It's just so unreal, and is the type of femininity that I personally strive for.
Screaming.
Like, no, I just mean that being able to, I don't want to say code switching because it's not literally the same thing, but like just that ability to just flip between those like sugary sweet to like just fucking harsh ass noise. Like, that is my ideal aesthetic, is like those two things operating in like a dialectic way.
I love that.
It's so fucking good, and I will talk about Midori more when we get into the top 10.
Absolutely.
Spoilers. You're number 63. Oh, there's Sakamoto.
Yep, Ongaku Zukan by Ryuichi Sakamoto. Probably the first album I heard of his that was just his solo stuff.
For sure.
Found this, of course, just perusing around music after running out of YMO to listen to. And I was like, oh, this guy's actually like a really brilliant composer. Like his piano skills are just fantastic. His particular style, iconic, wonderful, amazing stuff. And this is just like a beautiful thing to put on in the background, a wonderful thing to listen to just for the sake of thinking. You know, you want to sit in thought, you want to sit in no thought, whatever you need. This is just a beautiful ambient piano album of some of his compositions, a lot of really good versions of some of his songs, and it's just really good. It's just good piano. I don't listen to a lot of things that are mostly just piano. This is one of them. This is one of those for me.
Sounds good. This one is lovely, but only the Japanese release, not the Western.
Oh yeah, of
says
course.
Wafidi.
Absolutely.
Also, hello, Sad Cloud 7. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, welcome.
All right.
Here we are.
My number 62, Low Teens by Every Time I Die. I've been a long time fan of Every Time I Die.
You got me into them.
For a long time, they were one of... we're doing good. How are you doing this Sunday evening? Like, they have been for a while.
Life City.
For a while, they have been one of those bands that has been like always like very consistent. What's that? Oh, thank you for the follow, Sad Clouds. Appreciate it. But they have been one of those just very consistent, reliable bands where like they're going to put out an album and it's going to be like totally like fine. I can listen to it and be like, damn, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I listened to Low Teens, and I'm gonna take this moment to recommend a video essay. Someone put out an essay like analyzing Low Teens that goes into like some of the shit that was going on in the lead singer's life during the production of that album. And it's all like really harrowing shit. Like his wife was having a baby, and like it was such a complicated process that like the both of them were maybe going to die in the process. And Low Teens feels like an album that was made under that kind of duress, where it's like it is not just a fun haha like ironic like party metalcore band anymore. It's like, no, this is a man that is like actually like kind of at the end of his rope, fucking tortured. Mm-hmm. And the song that you hear that the most on is Pedal. One of definitely up there as like a top 20 songs of all time thing. Like it just, you read the lyrics and you listen to the composition of that song and you're just like, oh my fucking god.
Just break your fucking heart and drag it
Yeah,
behind the truck.
like
It's so powerful.
It rips your fucking heart out. It's so good. Like, it is a great album. It isn't higher just because there are some dips in, like, song quality itself, where, like, there are ones in there where I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's an okay song, but, like, the points in it that are good are so fucking good.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah. Your 62 is
It's Meta 5.
A.
So you might be wondering, hey, what happens when you got like part of YMO and Toate and you put them into a big old supergroup? You got Meta 5. It is, I argue, a timeless album. Beautiful, just when you make these sort of meldings of bands, you know, it can come off corny, it can sound stilted. Not this. This is people with a very similar sound aesthetic, but something kind of beautiful to bring to it on both ends. And it's just, it's a really good, very, I will argue, kind of front-loaded album. The majority of it, I would say 2/3 in, immensely wonderful. The rest of it's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. But like, this is again on my like continuous listen list. Something that often comes up for me.
For sure.
I think that like, for me especially, like Maisie's Avenue is probably my favorite song on
Macy's
there.
Avenue is the fucking bomb.
It is an absolute bop.
Yeah.
But it starts out really strong. Don't Move is incredible. You know, I Love You Tokyo is amazing. So it's just, there's a lot of really, really good tracks on here.
Anodyne might honestly be on my all-time greatest songs list. The outro seals it. I don't know that one. I'm guessing that's a Meta 5 song?
Oh, the outro, that's
No, Anodyne is the name of the song. What
oh,
he is
Anodyne.
just
Oh,
saying.
no. Anodyne's on that. That one's a wonderful one as well.
Alright, moving up to 61 for me. Young Machetes by the Blood Brothers. You want to talk about fucking influential ass band for me.
Hell yeah.
Like, they are another one in that same realm as Midori, personally, where, like, no other band sounded quite like them at the time. Like, in the realm of post-hardcore music, nothing quite hit like the Blood Brothers did, and their sound is just so good. The lyrics like verge on like Dadaist like shit, like, or maybe not Dadaist. I'm trying to think of like Blood Brothers. Y'all keep surprising me with some of these picks. Yes, not gonna be the last time you see the Blood Brothers on my list. But yeah, just these like fucking weird ass angular lyrics that like extremely evocative imagery that you can tell that they also like definitely have like political like ideas behind it, and it's just so good. And I find Young Machetes for me, it's a extremely solid album. I remember in the album, the music club that I'm in, like I recommended that, and a lot of people felt like it was like backloaded. But I feel like that album is so good all the way through. The only reason it's not higher is because the highs in it aren't as high as I know they as a band can get. Like, there's some fucking good-ass songs on there, and there are, like, strings of songs that I think are like, oh yeah, this to this to this to this, it's so good, it just, like, it gets me. But it never quite hits the high of some of their other stuff. But Blood Brothers is one of those bands I always recommend. No one else fucking sounds like them, and has had quite the same impact on me personally as they have. And your number 61 is... Oh, there's the first appearance.
YMO.
There's the first appearance of YMO.
So this was the first album by them that I had heard. Very much kind of more in the realm of their, like, almost more psychedelic sounding stuff. It's just very... You know, they were a very experimental band. And this was where they were kind of leaning into some more... I can never find the word. The idea being, this is more some of their psychedelic work, some of their more kind of like noisier, mildly more bizarre work, and it was really kind of hearing this first was kind of my basis for finding like the rest of like YMO, the rest of Sakamoto's work, etc., etc. And a beautiful kind of launching ground from that. So I feel like this very much matched a lot of my like previously mentioned electronic sensibilities. And it's solid. It's just real good stuff. Not too much to say about it, but definitely real good YMO.
Sounds good. My number 60, Food by MF Doom. Always remember, everyone, all caps when you spell the man's name. Also, rest in peace. Fucking great ass album. My favorite, like, just solo Doom thing. Like, has a great flow to it. Like, everything leads really well into each other. Has some great fucking songs on it. Like, I don't have much I can say about it, but it also has like very heavy like early 2000s vibes to it because of how much that was like kind of featured on like Adult Swim and stuff like that. But it's just a great fucking album. Great listen. Strong beats. Good stuff. I don't have too much to say about it. I just know.
Y'all know MF.
In my heart, I know that that's where it falls. I'm also kind of trying to speed us through, so we're not yelling at this wall.
And hey, Toate, as I mentioned, what a wonderful producer as well. His work is really incredible. I'm trying to think like where I would even put the comparison into. Some of his stuff sounds like Dreamcast menu music. Some of it sounds like some.
I remember
a lot of jazz influence.
I feel like when you got introduced to Toate, wasn't that somewhat recently?
I think it might have been.
When you first heard about Toate, you... Oh, if Gothcash doesn't get MF Doom. I mean, you know, everyone has their own separate tastes. I want to let Bree finish. You compared it to Persona Music.
Oh yeah, a little
you
bit.
Did. You
like
did
Time After Time. Can you tell me that doesn't have some like?
I don't remember what Time After Time is.
Well, sure, but like it's definitely that's a good way to put it though. It's that kind of level of like jazz, of kind of like modern stuff, and just like so many different elements of like sampling and electronic bits that just this guy's great. I also think that he might have some anxiety issues because in all of his videos or anywhere he shows up, even in Meta 5 stuff, he's like a dummy with like a hat and his sunglasses. But like just really love all of this man's work. Just a really brilliant.
Jay, it might be best to cut it off here and continue another day. You did reach a good cutoff point completing the lower half. We gotta get to 51. Once we get to 51, we can wrap it up.
So I'll cut it off there and just say solid recommend. Electronic modern jazz, give it a listen, it's wonderful.
For sure. Alright. My number 59, Death Consciousness by Have a Nice Life. I'm trying to figure out the best way to frame this. Whatever.
That's fine.
It's a fucking same guy who did Gallus Quarry that I recommended earlier. This is like the Toate produced Grooves in the Heart. Is what Gothcash asks.
Groove is in the Heart. Which was that on? Was that on? I'm trying to think what album that would be from.
I don't know.
I don't know offhand.
But like Death Consciousness, if you've been on, like indie music circles on the internet for any period of time, you've probably seen this album cover. It's a fucking fantastic album. It's a little bit too bloated, but it has a hell of a mood to it. Like, and it sinks you into that mood as it progresses through. Highly recommended to listen to, unless you cannot stand depressing music.
You gotta be in a place for it, basically.
And you also have to be in a place to listen to like an hour and a half long album, because it is a double album, but it's really good. I don't want to say too much about it.
Fair
because we only have so much time.
We're on a bit of a time crunch for now.
So much time.
Full Uncool Generation by The Pillows. Basically the soundtrack for the initial
Fully
Fully Cooley. I want to say the original series, but let's be real, that's the only one there is. And just this, at the time the anime, came out, that was another really kind of, coming of the age pivotal moment for me. The soundtrack was incredible. Never quite heard anything quite like The Pillows, so I still listen to this mostly due to nostalgia, but also because, hey, they're a good band.
Sure.
They have a great sound about them.
Sounds good. My number 58, Young Alive in Love by Gingnang Boys. Fucking good ass, like, Japanese punk music. Like, just... I don't have too much to say about it just because it is one of those ones that you, like, just listen to. It's like, yeah, this is punk. I like punk music. They have, like, a good energy to them. Like, there's some fucking bops of songs on there. Baby Baby is on there. Fucking, I wish I could remember how to say some of the names on it. There's a lot of songs on there that are super, super, super good. It's a great listen that I highly recommend to anyone that has not given any attention to Gingnang Boys. Wafidi says, I could throw a hot take right now. LMAO, please. Throw the hot takes. Oh, so, let's see. It seems Toate was in D-Light.
Oh! I don't know who D-Light is.
I think D-Light is the group that did Groove is in the Heart.
I'm gonna need to look that up. I will do that.
That is very interesting. You're 58. Oh, hey, it's Tame Impala again.
There he is again. Hey, this is like, and I say this is someone who thinks that Currents is good. This is Currents, but gooder. This is like more the psychedelic rock end of things. More of the stuff that I was familiar with like, his earlier work and stuff. This is kind of more, if you're, because like I have all of his CDs right in front of me. But it's kind of like, what's the name of that album? It's kind of like Inner Speaker, but actualized in a way, almost like more evolved into that same kind of sound. Probably my favorite album by him, actually hands down definitely is.
For sure.
I listened to it during a breakup.
I see.
Everything was changing. And, but like, it was just like really, I love psychedelic rock, and this just, it's a more accessible end of that, but it's a very good, crunchy, wonderful, just, it delights the brain. It's a good listen.
For sure. Alright, let's go ahead and skip up to my number 57.
I know that one.
It's my first boring ambient album on the list. Music for Airports by Brian Eno, however you pronounce his goddamn name. I've only listened to this one like somewhat recently. No, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Music for Airports is fucking amazing. Like, I remember I started listening to it like right around the time that things started getting really turbulent when we were still living at your parents' place out in Phoenix. And like, God, that album, it just washes over you and just kind of, when you're in a bad place, it just takes everything that was bothering you away.
It's Zoloft, the album.
It kind of is. Like, it is genuinely incredibly impressive how good of a producer Eno is. That he was... I started listening to it as things were getting turbulent. Airplanes, turbulence. Okay. I wasn't even going for it, but thank you. I'm glad you pointed out my own accidental puns to me.
While these thoughts are up in the air, continue.
But no, it's just so... It is genuinely impressive just how well produced it is that you can listen to that and everything around you just kind of washes away.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best way that I could put it.
We started throwing it on during like times of like when I was having anxiety attacks and stuff, and it helped.
Yeah.
It's really great, easy listening, but just like when you take that into account, the effect that has, it's really nice.
Totally. And then your 57 is the exact
Hey, you ready for
opposite,
more jazz?
exact opposite
Yes,
end of the spectrum.
This is Soil and Pimp Sessions' album Planet Pimp. This is some beautiful, like, high energy, intense, like jazz funk. It's incredible. It sounds like a Technicolor car chase in New York with machine guns. It's really, really good. I cannot say enough for how the intro track is the most incredible thing in the world, and then it just continues to be that great throughout. Beautiful experimental jazz album. This is one of those albums I'll say definitely listen to this. This is not just me talking about what I love anymore. I actually genuinely super recommend it.
Wafidi said, I heard music for airports a couple of times. It came and went through my ears like a plane flying across the horizon.
Did like the music in the moment, though.
Alright, my 56 is Raw Denshi by Aaron Cholai. This is another one of those that I got recommended from the music club that I'm in, and like it was one of those albums that immediately I was like, oh fuck, this is so fucking good. Like
It's an incredible album.
Like just good jazz instrumentals with people rapping over them. If you want that, it's got that in fucking spades.
Yeah, you want to talk about the perfect fusion of like rapping and jazz together. This is a fine example of it. Probably some of the best I've heard in like a long time.
Yeah, it's such a solid album. Like, I was taken aback by just how much that album grabbed me on my first listen immediately. It has like a recency bias with how high it is, but it is so fucking good. Like, I listened to it and then immediately had to be like, I need to listen to this again. Oh, here's the hot take.
Alright.
FLCL sucks. The Pillows have nothing going for them that any other early 2000s JP band going for the alt-rock sound didn't also have. The love surrounding them comes solely out of nostalgia from people who were preteens when it aired on Toonami. That is certainly a very hot take.
That is a hot take, because I saw it uncut properly in its original context before anyone on Toonami knew what the fuck it was. So.
But
Hey, that's fine. That's the thing. Here's the thing. Everyone has an opinion.
Sure.
My opinion is that I feel like most people probably would not give a shit about most of what I listen to, so I take zero offense.
Your 56 is also Raw Denshi by
Hey,
Aaron
we matched.
Holy fuck! Wait, did you do that one on purpose?
No. That was where
Damn.
it was when you started formatting it.
Fuck.
Yeah. What can I say? We linked. I didn't know this would happen.
That's actually pretty wild. Do you have anything else you need to say about it?
I feel like I already have.
Alright. Then let's go ahead and move on to the next one. My 55 is Demon Days by Gorillaz. Oh, whoops. Accidentally peeking at the next one. Such a good fucking album.
It is.
Like, I've spent a lot of my life, which feels fucked up to say that that album has been out for almost a majority of my lifespan.
It didn't come out last year?
No, it did not.
Well.
But, like, I've spent a lot of my life, like, ruminating on Godcash says didn't get it. Like, that's the thing, is I've spent a lot of time, like, going back and forth between, like, do I really like this album, or do I just kind of think it's fine? And, like, I think at the very least where I'm at right now, I really like that album. I think it's the platonic ideal of what I want from a Gorillaz album, where they have like the perfect like balance of like guest spots, interesting like instrumental diversion, stuff like that. Just good general like bases for songs, like good choruses. Like, it only kind of loses me at the end once it gets into like the fire coming out of the monkey's head. Like
Here's the thing,
stuff.
I loved that little bit of lore.
I know you do. We've talked about it before.
I thought that was a magnificent little staple in that album. And the funny thing is, this album had to grow on me. Like, when I first heard it, I was expecting more of the same stuff, and then I heard this. Yeah, because like I was so in love initially with like the first album, and then when I heard this one, I was just like, I don't know, it didn't quite hit me the way I exactly wanted it to, and I was like, I don't know, yeah, this seems interesting, but I don't know. But over the years, over time, it developed and matured into my mind as this like, oh, I actually like really, really like this album.
Yeah.
I had to hear it many times over to fully appreciate it, and that's when it just kind of came to fruition for me that like this, really, really good.
But yeah, Godcash says, all my friends were wild about it when it came out, never clicked for me. Also notices only my friends who didn't listen to anything even bordering hip-hop, which I found confusing. Yeah, it's that, I think that usually ends up being the thing that I take issue with a lot of gorillas going beyond Demon Days. Like, Demon Days, like I said, felt like the platonic ideal. It didn't feel like the guest spots for rappers were, like, the highlight of it. It just felt like they were just kind of, hopping in. Like, they were...
Adding accents to it.
Yeah, adding accents to the album as opposed to like, here's this person. We got this person for this album.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg is on this one.
Like at that point, you could basically listen to like, Big Data or Maximum Balloon and go, okay, I'm listening to a producer do different tracks with different people, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like that project anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. Does it still have the intimacy and freshness now that it had when you first heard it, or is it more of a nostalgic favorite, Jay? There are still tracks on it that I think are fucking fantastic. Like, I think White Light is good. I think Dare is super good. Honestly, for how overplayed it is, I still think that Feel Good Inc. is pretty good. El Mañana is a really good song. Last Living Soul's good. Like, I think it's gone beyond just like nostalgia glasses for me in some ways. And I think that's the reason why I felt okay putting it as high up on the list as I did, is like, in re-listening to it more recently, it's felt like it's gone beyond just like, is this just kind of nostalgia connection? It's like, no, there's good stuff on there.
Yeah, I know it's not nostalgia. Everything about my life sucked when I heard that. I'd completely checked out mentally.
And also, what Edie said earlier, can you truly say you love your wife when your 56th favorite albums don't match?
It's true.
And Sass says, I don't know a single song of theirs. I can sing all of Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend by heart, though, so who can say? Yeah, Dirty Harry, November Has Come.
Yeah, Dirty Harry, I think, was like probably that's the one that was stuck in my head when you brought that album up, and I was like,
And there's your 55.
So, Nonagon Infinity by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Let me tell you, this is a hell of an album.
Just a band name that I hear and it makes me smile.
Well, here's the thing, the name of the band is what got me to listen to the band.
Sure.
When I heard about them, and someone told me like, yeah, this is kind of like, more like, moderately psychedelic, like kind of 60s revivalist, rock stuff, and I was like, bitch, get me my hands on this. It's great. These fellows make a hell of a ruckus. The way they record things, I don't know what it is they do, but they capture that kind of classic sound with like a whole brand new energy, and just the stuff they make is so just wild and usually quite fast-paced. It changes tempo throughout the album, but just the places it goes, the wackiness, and just the sheer devotion they have to their sound is... I can listen to them all day.
I want to point out something that Gothcash said in response to Sass and Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend. Gothcash says, I love that album. I listen to it when no one is around. I call it my in-the-closet discog.
Righto.
Alright.
But yeah, just I've said my piece of it. They're an amazing group that does exactly that, and it fills my soul.
For sure.
It's good stuff.
My 54th is...
Hey.
Ex-Military by Death Grips. I feel weird having this one be my choice, but when I really think about it, like, Money Store is good, but like there are songs on there that just don't hit me. But like Ex-Military front to back is so fucking good. Like it is a sonic blast of shit being thrown at you. Like there's a chunk of songs like I would say it is like another one of those like kind of front-loaded albums, but like song after song just like fucking assaults you with the sound that the drummer like using all those like different
The
like,
drummer is a human drum machine.
Yeah, using like all those different like drums that have like samples hooked up to that shit.
Yeah.
Like it's so good, and it just feels like it's like melting your brain as you listen to. Yeah, Gothgash says that album was hard to listen to, but it was like a train wreck. Couldn't look away, and then I started to like it. Yeah, that's the thing, is like it feels like the most raw Death Grips thing, and I feel like that's them when they're at their best, is when it almost feels like the song itself is like kind of falling apart, like it's machinery, like just kind of the bands are like spinning off of like the cogs in the machine and shit. Like I think that's when Death Grips is at its absolute best. Like when you have things like Big Dipper, when you have Bass Rattle Stars Out the Sky, when it just feels like a song is fucking falling apart, is when Death Grips is at their best. And I feel like Ex-Military, all the songs on there feel that way, and that's why it's my favorite Death Grips album.
Right on.
And you're 54.
Ostrich Tentacles, I brought them up earlier when Eat Static popped up. This was my intro into psychedelic rock music. Shortly before and much after I got into psychedelics when I was 20. This is just incredible stuff. Very meditative at times, very energetically high-paced at some others. It's just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say much more about it to anyone who doesn't know about them than just it's brilliant psychedelic rock music. It's just really, really beautiful stuff and incredibly well produced.
Sure.
They do really wonderful work.
The only thing close to the first time I heard Ex-Military was when I had to listen to 100 Gex for the first time. Forces you to pay attention. I mean, that was your...
Yeah, that was my 100.
Was 100 Gex.
I will say a lot of artists have really adopted that beautiful noise that, like, just really commands attention in a way.
Latecomer to Osric, but Vivian brought me around with Jurassic Shift. Love him now.
Hell yeah.
80%.
That's another very good one.
My 53 is Flockavelli by Waka Flocka Flame.
Yo.
You want to talk about an album that was very indicative of a certain time? Flockavelli was definitely that for me. That was like the early 2010s. Yeah, really though, like... If I'm being honest, like, there's definitely, like, a strong tinge of, like, nostalgia for why that one is so high for me. No, please, no. But, like, the fucking Lex Luger beats on that album are still so fucking good. Like, I re-listened to, like, at least a chunk of Flockavelli for research for this, and I was like, God damn, it's so good. Like, you hear the opening of, like, Hard in the Paint, and, like, it, like, lights a fire inside of your goddamn belly.
It makes me want to go out into the street and start a fight.
No, yeah, like, Waka Flocka Flame is, like, fucking fight music, and it feels good. It feels fucking good to listen to. I'm sorry, Gothgash. I'm getting way too into it, but like, there's just something about like Flockavelli for me that like there's nostalgia there, but there's still something like really visceral for me that gets me about that album. I do love Heart in the Paint because I can say like a total of 5 words in it. All right, so moving on to your 53.
It's Violator by Depeche Mode.
Also, people are now talking about Gex because you mentioned 100.
Oh, right.
100 Gex.
So, this is... I think this was kind of like in the beginning end of them going from I just can't get enough to good music. And this is a brilliant one. This one has, this one has Enjoy the Silence. It's got Halo. It's got... what was that, the Sweetest Perfection, but just so many fantastic songs on it that just, even from a young age, I was just like, I thought I was gay for that man, but it turned out I was straight for him. Long story. The point is, wow, just really, really wonderful album. It speaks of, many different times in my life, and it just means something new to me every time I hear it. It's just really good.
For sure.
It's peak Depeche Mode.
Your own personal Depeche Mode. It's like
Someone to do your drugs. Someone who hugs.
52 for me is Darker Handcraft by Trap Them. Fucking good ass crust punk music. I have a story with this one.
Okay.
So, pre-transitioned me at some point. Did a road trip from Los Angeles up to Seattle, down to Phoenix, and back to Los Angeles. A fucking crazy ass triangle road trip.
They call that area the crazy ass triangle.
So the first day of the road trip, I got it in me for some fucking reason that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna drive to LA all the way up to the tippy top of Northern California where I was gonna be staying. It's this small ass city called Crescent City. It's where my grandparents lived at the time.
Right.
And I was gonna stay with them. So little did I know that was a fucking 16-hour drive.
It sure is.
So I'm driving all that way. I'm losing time. At a certain point, I get pulled over by a cop because I was doing 95 and an 80. So
the 95 was the highway, hun. That wasn't that.
So it certainly put me in a mood for the rest of that day.
Right.
And by the time I was starting to get close to my destination, it was 1 a.m. I was in the middle of the redwoods. Mm-hmm. It was foggy out.
You were pretty sure you were gonna die.
I was sleep deprived. I had not slept well, so I throw on the air conditioner and throw this album on, and this album probably kind of saved my life because I just fucking cranked up the volume and it let me fucking barrel my way to the end of that day to get to my destination, and it's fucking great.
California is unexpectedly big.
There's a lot of good ass songs on there.
There's a lot of good ass.
The Facts is a great song. Scars Align is great. The opening track on it is really, really strong. If you're looking for a solid, thrashy, crust punk album, Darker Handcraft by Trap Them. Good song.
Right up?
Yeah. Gothcash says, I want to see the redwoods before they get nay-nayed by fire. Yeah. Alright, year
Okay.
52. Demon
We've already
Days.
talked about it.
Yay.
I've shared all the thoughts I had, so that'll speed things along, but yeah.
Fantastic.
It's sat a little higher up for me, but same deal.
My number 51 is the one soundtrack on my list, which is the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack by Akira Yamaoka. Another super, super fucking foundational album for me. Is J-Wife City confirmed facts lover. But the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack is such a perfect amalgamation of some of the wild industrial stuff that Yamaoka was doing on Silent Hill 1, the more melodic down tempo almost trip hoppy like stuff that he did on the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack. There's a bunch of really fucking good like vocal songs on it too that to this day I still eat up anytime they come on. I got to see him perform some of those songs live back in like 2012 at an anime convention fucking Phoenix, and it was great. Loved every second of it. This album was kind of like my barometer for where I placed everything, like depending on the halves of the list. Like if it was something that I was like, yeah, this is better than the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack, I was like, yeah, that's in my top 50. If I was like, I would rather listen to the Silent Hill 3 soundtrack, it went below it. So that was kind of like my center of gravity, was that album, and it's why it's pretty firmly in the middle there.
Fantastic.
And your 51 is...
Hey, it's Mezzanine by Massive Attack. So yeah, that one, this one, I guess this was like my favorite of the two that a lot of people have heard of. Like Heligoland, like was a really big one as well. But this one is just such a zone out album. Such something that I could just, I remember I started getting into, like, you know, I was, despite being asthmatic, I was like smoking weed at the time. But like, despite that, like, you know, just really, really great stuff. Rising Sun is on there, Teardrop is on there. You know, those kind of set the mood for like the rest of it. What was it? I want to say Black Milk is the name of one of them that I really like, but just like, it's been a little bit since I've dived into it, but I can hear them all in my head. Like, it's just something that really became a heavy listening point for a real long time for me, and thus has continued to be something I revisit to this day.
For sure. I did not expect us to go that long for just 50 albums.
I did not either.
So we're gonna unfortunately have to cut this one off at that. I don't know when we're gonna come back for the second half because
time is a little weird because I'm about to start a job soon.
Yeah, we know Wednesday we're gonna be starting up Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. You heard it here first.
Saturday we're gonna be finishing up Vanquish most likely. I'm getting my COVID booster on Wednesday, so maybe there's a chance that like on Thursday I'll have to call out from work.
I'm getting mine tomorrow. I'm gonna be fucked up for the stream.
But so like maybe we can try and do it on Thursday. We can.
I think we can fit it in. Make anything of it.
Mind if I slide in y'all's Discord? I want the final list when you get done with it. Yeah,
yes,
sure,
please,
absolutely.
Hop in.
Let me drop the command here for you.
Hop in, introduce yourself in intros, and we'll let you in.
Yeah, feel free to join. Yes, and also on Saturday, I'm going to be guesting on Sass's stream, where she's finishing up Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes.
Oh, yo!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Despite us talking about music for the last, despite us talking about music for the last 3 hours, we normally play video games, but,
which will resume on Wednesday.
But yes, we look forward to going over the rest of these when we get the chance to.
As am I. This was very fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. But yeah, like usual, thank you all for dropping in. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.